You're on the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society. Disney.
Well, we are so glad that you're coming in here tonight and wanting to spend a little time with us right here on the Six Screens Telenetwork. Well, my name is Rick Farron. I'm coming to you from the apostate capital of the world, right up here in Boston, Massachusetts. And as I always say, don't worry, you're going to have an apostate coming to your neck of the woods if you don't have any now. People are leaving like they've never left before. We are witnessing the Watchtower organization in free fall. And I have to tell you, I'm happy when I see it. Who wants to see a crooked, scandalous, scamming organization move forward when they're doing so much harm to so many people? But we're going to get into that tonight. We got a lot to talk about. But anyways, I'm going to tell you, things are really happening here at the Six Screens. We're in the process of building a new studio. We're in the process of actually building 2 new studios. So, we're going to try to keep you right up to date as we do this. And we're trying to come up with a newscast. It will be live, but also will be up on YouTube. But it's going to be ex-Jehovah's Witness news, and it's not going to be any more than 5 minutes long. So we'll try to do that as we get top stories coming up from time to time on a daily basis, if we can do it, once we get our new studio built in Lowell, Massachusetts. So let's think about what's happening. Well, I don't want to beat the convention to death, but I mean, you guys are getting ready. I know that it's on Reddit. They're talking about the convention. It's all over YouTube. Even ChatGPT has actually brought it up, and they'll talk all about the convention. Just type it into Google, type it into chat, and you find out that there's a lot in there about the convention. A lot of people are talking about it. I'm giving a lot of tickets away. Now, we are going to have, if you haven't heard, we are going to have an ex-Jehovah's Witness convention, the first of its kind, really, right up here in the Boston area, and that is going to be August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Now, do you know how exciting it will be to meet with people that have been touched by the tentacles? Just like you guys, all of you out there listening in, somehow, some way, the organization that is the Watchtower has created problems in your life. Some monumentally big. Some they get through okay. But some people have really been hurt by this organization. And for them to come and talk with other people can be so therapeutic. It can be a game changer. It can be a life changer. So if you have the opportunity to come up, I'm going to give you a ticket. The tickets are free. All you have to do is write me at jwworldnews@gmail.com, and I will send you a ticket. Now, the ticket has a number on it. And please, when you get your ticket, notify me that you got it so I can kind of keep score here. So what I want you to do is when you get your ticket, notice on the right-hand bottom side of the ticket is a number. Take a picture of that number or print it out and bring it to the convention with you, because we only have 300 seats in the main auditorium. We might be able to squeeze 325 in, but we have 300 to fit there comfortably. And we also, if you want to be in the main auditorium, please, we're getting very close to coming to that number, 300. So get your ticket so you'll have it and at least be able to sit in the main auditorium. Now, we have an auxiliary it's not an auditorium, but a room next to the main auditorium. They said that we could put some overflow there. I said, can we put 200 there? They're kind of skeptical about it, but I think we could squeeze them in. But if not, I mean, if you don't get a ticket, I mean, you can at least be in the lobby. You can come and be with the apostates and kind of chum around with us. If someone leaves the main auditorium, then you could go in there. Or you can get a room and listen to it and watch it on YouTube, because it will be live streamed. So I'm encouraging you, because we're getting down to the nitty gritty. We got about, we got May, June, July. That's 3 months. So we got 3 months to get your tickets and save you money. So the tickets are free. The hotel room, just to give you an idea so you have some thoughts on it, the hotel room with the discount code is Farron. That's my name, Fearon. Use that code and you'll get a discount on the hotel. It's a Hilton hotel. They're pricey. It'll be it's a $175 a night. So I'm just kind of giving you an idea. But if you don't use the term Farron, that code word, you could spend upwards of $250. So use that code word, and you'll save money. So that's what's going on. So try to make the convention.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
A question came up in my mind. What if someone has a ticket, but due to personal circumstances, they find that they won't be able to come? What should they do with their ticket?
Well, they really could write me and tell me, but I mean, if, we start the convention, we'll leave this seat open for a little bit, but, if they don't come within, a couple hours after the convention starts, then we'll have to give their ticket up unless they write me and say, Rick, I'm coming, and we'll make sure we can save it. But we have to communicate. And even I'm sending tickets out now, and I'm asking people, just write me back and tell me that you got the ticket. And a lot of people aren't doing that, but it would be so good if people would do that. Friends, it's not easy. I'm not complaining, just explaining. But, I'm trying to put this thing together in a very organized fashion. I want us really to hit a home run here. I want us to have a very successful convention. And the reason for that the Watchtower, they hate it that ex-Jehovah's Witnesses are getting together. They say that, our life was going to be miserable and rotten because we left the Watchtower. We were going to return to the vomit, so to speak, is what they would say. But I want the Watchtower to see, look at, boy, these are ex-witnesses and they're having a good time. So it's going to be very, very enlightening for so many of us. So by all means, make sure you get your tickets. And, let me know you got them. It will really help me. And the other thing I wanted to say as well is there is places you don't have to eat at the Hotel Hilton. Their menu is expensive. So there's a number of different places. There's a Cracker Barrel, there's a Dunkin' Donuts, there's a Wendy's, there's a McDonald's, there's a Circle K convenience store, and it's pretty much all within walking distance. So, you can walk there, and we get enough people. I'm going to have a shuttle going back and forth through the different food restaurants, and you'll be able to have a little shuttle back and forth and make it easier. So, let's make this really a good time. I'm really looking forward to it. And so many people have written me and said, Rick, I'm looking forward to it. And now we have some pretty high profile apostates coming. We get Barbara Anderson. She's going to come here in person. We have Fritz Springmeier. He's coming here in person. Of course, he wrote the book, The Bloodlines of the Illuminati. We've got Professor of AI, Artificial Intelligence, coming from the University of Kentucky. She's the lead professor there and going to talk all about how Watchtower uses AI. I put the invitation out for Erwin Zalkin. I do believe we'll get him either here in person or on the internet. Erwin Zalkin, of course, is the lawyer for people who are filing complaints against the Watchtower for child sex abuse. So it looks like a good possibility he may be here. We've got a number of stories. If you have an extreme story, if you have really been hurt by the Watchtower, and we have elders, we got some elders already lined up that will be giving a talk. We have an elder from Ohio, and his son actually committed suicide. Very sad story. He wants to tell his story. You're going to hear things that are going to be really amazing. It's going to help so many people. We have also some really good press coverage. I got word this week, now I can't substantiate it, but I got word this week that there's a film crew coming in. Now, whether this will happen or not, I don't know, but I did get word that a film crew is coming in, and they really want to do a documentary on witnesses who have left the organization, on how they are reacting and what they're thinking. So I believe we're going to get some really good media coverage. So if you can be here with us, you won't be sorry. You'll be hitting your head on the doorpost on the way out. Okay, so That's good for the convention. Now we will have
That's
the.
splendid news.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Pixie.
I said that's splendid news. I got ticket number 22. I memorized my ticket number, and I saw today where Boston had a 250th reenactment of Paul Revere's ride and the Lexington battle. So there's all kinds of history things there if you want to plan an extra day. And I'm just going to be living at the Hilton and talking to people. And I hope we can all sing all along the Watchtower together. And if I can help you in any way, I will do it because I know how to help.
Well, thank you, Pixie. Yeah, we got an 8-piece band. I've been working with them. A number of them are former Jehovah's Witnesses, and I realized that we really had to get some good music. We couldn't just have a DJ. We had to get some really good music. So we got an 8-piece band, and man, I'm going to tell you, they are great. And everyone's going to be. You got to create an atmosphere.
That's a sing along. We want to have a sing along of all along the Watchtower.
Yeah, we can do that. We can have a sing. I'll mention that to them.
I don't know that piece.
I'm working with them now. They're sending me a repertoire of what they do. And boy, we are going to have a blast. Music is important. When you have a gathering like that, I mean, a lot of us are going to enter the auditorium and we're going to be a little shy. We're going to be a little inhibited. But I want people to wake up and say, wow, this is wonderful. And we can all hug one another and let each other know that, you are my real brother and sister. You've experienced the same things that I've experienced. So that's going to be great. Hey, thank you, Pixie. Thank you.
Is Fritz going to have his book for sale? Because I'll put aside some book money, too.
Oh, yeah. But he'll have his book there. He'll be signing his books. We're trying to get some other authors there as well. I'm working on getting David Reed. Well, he lives here in Mass, so we're trying to get him up and come here.
Oh, my goodness. I knew him as a small child. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so he's been on our program before. And we got a number of other authors. We talked about Derek Barefoot, the Jehovah's Witness Hour of Darkness, with some liminal information concerning weird pictures. So he's going to come either in person or be there via the internet. So we're really putting together, we're trying to put the best program we can, because I'll tell you what, if this can really be successful, if we can really get the numbers and everybody really says, man, this was good, I had a good time, then we could do it again and again. And this thing could really gain a lot of momentum. It could grow into quite a thing as the years go on. So we're going to work hard to do the best we can to hit a home run. So it's all going to happen. We're looking forward to it. Thank you, Pixie. Okay. We will play the duck game. Yes. Is this the King of Dots?
Yes. I promised I would do a bedtime poem for the drunken Bethelites. So, I don't take long, but I do want to warn them. This is about the two options, what I grew up with. Hippie Paradise and Watchtower, or going in the military, getting a GI Bill, getting trained, and getting all kinds of benefits. And now they want free houses, apparently, on TV. So it's called No Shortcuts. And I'm going to do it with a little country tilt. Yeah, I took the shortcut to paradise, but I ended up taking a long way home. I saw the writing on the wall, the statistics that appall, but I thought I could beat them all. I'm smarter, I'm brighter, I'm a born fighter. Now I'm without an arm or an eye, and I feel nothing but defeated. And then I come home and join the emasculated. Those kingdom minions, the broken knuckle battalion. They will not learn war anymore. Sounds too great to be true. Until I entered the nonstop congregational wars, they never end. Nobody in there is ever your friend. Just a future casualty that you're not allowed to help or defend. I'd gladly give my other eye to get out of this pigsty. I'd crawl through a minefield and long for a sand dune as my paradise. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, I'm not gonna be nice. Take your fool's paradise and shove it where your backrooms commit the real war crimes all the time.
Well, that's amazing.
Over now.
Well, that's so don't go anywhere. Let me make a comment. I mean, don't go leave us now. That's
Rick, I've written 9. I got triggered in mid-January, and I've written 90 apostate poems. I've written 10 this week, and I seem to be getting the gist of the thing with the help of Discipling Worship. He was reading his poems, and I started to catch on to how you do it. But you got to have a subject. That's what I learned most of all. And I got a subject that means a lot to me: the stupidity of Watchtower.
yeah. Well, what I do and what I look for in your poems is I try to extract something that you can't remember it all. I mean, I can't go back and recite it, but what I try to do is capsulate something that stood out, something that is meaningful to me. Now, you made a comment. I like the term. I never heard it before. It's original. Kingdom Hall of Wars. It's always warring. I like that. I mean, it's a war zone.
Well, you know full well it's always non-stop wars at the Kingdom Hall. I cannot begin to tell you how many battles. It's non-stop. You know that, Rick.
Yeah, no, I never heard that term, but that's right. It is an ongoing battle. You go to the Kingdom Hall, it is. It puts people on edge. It's an ongoing battle. Geez, you don't know if you're going to be counseled. You don't know if you're going to be shunned. You don't know if you're going to be brought into the back room. There's so many things that put people on defense. That's no way to attend a so-called Christian meeting, to always be on defense. Great job, King of Dots. Thank you.
Well, thanks. You want me to read one more?
Yeah, go ahead.
The title is Works Like Honey, based on personal experience. I saw old Horseface yesterday, and it was good to see her. It had been a long time since we spent time together. I knew I could break the ice, not by being nice, but by being spectacular. Works like honey. Everybody wants to get in on the glory. When you're good at what you do, you're a rock star in Watchtower, don't you know? Unfortunately, I'm not impressed. I just happen to land in a culture of idiots. I actually could pronounce a 3-syllable word. And when they heard them words, they looked like they was dropping turds. Yes, I don't take seriously success. The elder's wife was clearly half crazy, a 50-year-old theocratic groupie who I should have shooed away with some bug spray. She may come back another day. Remind me, please, to call in sick for my next public talk. I'm taking a year off. And that's based on a true story.
Oh, I can tell. I can tell that poem is coming from the depths of your heart. That just wasn't so.
My congregation overseer's wife didn't talk to me for 5 years because I called her up and discussed the fact that she was going on a Bible study with my wife and she was an unwed mother. And I thought, no, that's not going to be a good witness. I thought she chewed me out. I was actually recording the conversation. It was terrible. I didn't listen to any of it. And she didn't know I didn't hear a darn word she said. She didn't talk to me for 5 years, but I did a talk that was so impressive. She had to come up and talk to me and tell me how much she loved my talk and everything. I broke the ice because I was spectacular. That's a true story.
No, I know it was true. I mean, that is something that's coming from your inward parts. That is something that you just didn't sit down with a notepad and just start making things up. That's something that you've experienced. Now, you mentioned something again. You mentioned again, you got some original stuff there. And you mentioned rock star. Now, you said if you're doing what's right if you're doing what's right.
I've got on tape right now upstairs, and I'm going to do that maybe next week to show you how much of a rock star Fred Franz was. His last talk ever, I have it on tape. Dick Saranko introduced him and took the platform afterwards. Dick was a friend of mine, and people clapped. He went like 30 minutes overtime, Ray, before Fred did. Let's not get him mistaken, Fred. But the audience gave him like over a minute standing ovation. I counted it. I just sat down and said, no, I ain't doing this. What the hell is this? This is worship of a man. So I will, actually play that for y'all maybe next week or the week after. Make sure the volume, everything's good on it. But I was so appalled. See, I used to tape every single assembly for 25 years. I've got them all on tape. I've only raised a couple. You would not believe the crap that you hear on the platform that isn't actually put in writing, but they get away with it. And then the circuit overseers say other crap that isn't put in writing and isn't said at the assemblies. It's nonstop. They've got constant misinformation, keeping you totally off balance. Okay, I'm going to stop there. Thank you, Rick.
Well, thank you. Thank you for putting an effort into that and presenting those poems to us. That's talent. You got a lot of ability. Thank you, King and Dots. Thank you.
It's not about ability. It's about bad experience.
Well, that can also. Well, a lot of artists, Van Gogh, Edgar Allan Poe, a lot of.
Edgar Allan Poe might be influenced me a little bit. Yeah.
well,
you got me there, man.
Well, there were poets that, there were poets that based their poetry on love. But it seems to me like and it's okay. You're basing your poet. No, you're into your poetry.
Just give me your address, man.
Yeah. Well, your poetry is around hard luck, bad times, difficult times, and that's what's coming forth. That's what I see is happening, and that's good. You can express yourself that way, King of Dots.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me. And like I said, I'm getting backed up. I have over 90 of these poems. I think I've done 9 of them on your show. So I may be pestering you for the next year or so.
Well, fine. That's fine. We would love to hear it. The audience loves to hear it. When you come on, the numbers go up.
Yeah, well, just as long as you take your digitalis, I don't want to really say something that'll hurt, that'll get your heart going, man.
Well, no, we're glad to hear what you have to say. Thank you, King of Dots.
Well,
thank you
so much. And I want to say, so I don't have to type all this out. It's so hard. Hi, Dallas. Hi, Maverick. Hi, Buff Apostate. I'm assuming you really are Buff. Hi, SD. Hi, SOS. Hi, Justin Florenzio from Orange County. You don't deserve a hi. You live in California. Anyway, Am. Who else did I miss here? S.C. Lauder. Stian. Yes, Stian. Now I'm finished. I can rest for the night, Rick.
Well, you just kick back and relax. Thank you.
Yeah, tell the drunken Bethelites, go to night, go to bed.
Well, we're watching for them. I'm watching. I watch the screen. I got a screen specially prepared to watch for those drunken Bethelites. Well, anyways, thank you. We appreciate it. Well, I want to bring up here tonight. My memorial was last Saturday night. We talked a little bit about it then, but I want to tell you something. The decline in the organization is real. Now, I know you're getting mixed messages. And many people are saying, Rick, there was so many people at the memorial. My Kingdom Hall was packed. Yeah, there was some Kingdom Halls that were packed, but you didn't get the whole picture. There's a lot of Kingdom Halls that had hardly anybody. I mean it. Empty seats all over the place. So you know why they were packed. You know what the Watchtower is doing. They're playing games. They're merging. They'll have. Well, in one congregation, a man gave me information this week that his congregation, they had 3 congregations attend his. And of course, it was over 300 people at the memorial. So if he went to that Kingdom Hall, he'd say, holy my goodness, look at all of these people. But, 3 congregations in one hall, of course it's going to look packed. That's exactly what the Watchtower has been doing. But, okay, we'll talk a little more about that, but the decline is real. Don't be misled. Don't be, your mother's a witness and came home and said, oh, Johnny, you should have saw all the people. Don't be misled by all that. I'm giving you the real truth here. So let me just give you some real, these are statistics. Now, I don't have the statistics for this year, but I'm just going to throw on the table here some numbers for you. We're just going to look at it and make up some thoughts here that might be of interest to us. So let's take a look. Let's go back to 2020. Well, let's first of all, before we talk about the partakers, I want to talk about the attendance. So let's talk about the attendance. The attendance in 2023, now that would have been 2 years ago. The attendance for the memorial worldwide for Jehovah's Witnesses was 20,461,767. You got that? So in 2024, yeah, it did. It went up. In 2024, the attendance was 21,119,442. So roughly 500,000 more people. Yeah, so about 500,000 more in 2024. So the numbers, according to the Watchtower, but we're only going by their numbers. Of course, we know they could be cooking the books, but now they have to hit the ball out of the park. They have to for 2025. That number always has to increase. That is something the governing body pays close attention to. It's like a business. Do you watch the business news? Do you watch CNBC or Fox Business? I mean, you get these executives come on during earnings season of their company, and they got to get those numbers up. If they're not reporting numbers going up, or numbers that are staying stagnant, or numbers that are going behind, the business can be in trouble. So Watchtower is a business. So what they've got to do is they got to keep those numbers going up. So this year for 2025, they've got to beat 21,119,442 people. Now, could they do it? Well, they made every effort they possibly could. They were inviting everybody. I mean, people. I had one person give me information, hasn't been to the meeting in 20 years, and actually got a call from an elder to come to the memorial. So we have numbers here that seem like they had to get these numbers up somehow. As a matter of fact, even disfellowship people were never invited to the memorial. They were never even invited to the meeting per se. They were supposed to come, but nobody ever gave them an invitation. But they're giving invitations to people who've been disfellowshipped, people who've been disassociated to come to the memorial. So they got to get the numbers up. So, okay, so let me just talk here a little bit on the thought here of partakers. Just to show you, this is a weird thing that goes on in the Watchtower organization. Never made sense, never will make sense. But let's just go back. I don't want to go back too far, but let's go back to 2020. The number of partakers. Now you say, well, Rick, what is that? If you're listening for the first time, a partaker is one who goes to the memorial and actually takes the emblem. They partake in the bread and the wine. Now, in the year 2020, in the Watchtower, Kingdom Hall Memorial, there were 21,182 partakers. But in 2021, the number actually went down a little bit. The number of partakers in 2021 was 20,746, roughly 600,000 or so less. No, 6,000, not 600, 6,000 less. And in 2022, the number was 21,050. It came back up again. So I just wanted to bring that up. But in 2023, the number of partakers was 22,312. Now, this is a number they don't want going up. But do you know how many Jehovah's Witnesses go home and partake? They're scared to death to partake at the meeting. Wouldn't you be? I mean, after all, current Watchtower magazines right prior to the memorial are saying that, if you partake, in essence, they're saying that you're mentally ill. I mean, are you going to go into a Kingdom Hall knowing people just read the latest Watchtower before the memorial, accusing partakers of being mentally ill? Do you realize how difficult that would be to partake? So a lot of the people who go to the memorial, they go home and partake. They don't do it there. In fact, I even knew one brother who he came to the memorial, but he wouldn't partake in the main auditorium. What he did is he took his glass of wine and the bread they gave him. He sat near the back of the hall and he ran in the bathroom and took it. I mean, kind of a little schizo there, right? But that's what he did. So it's really a farce. I mean, I believe the numbers are cooked anyways, but they don't want those numbers going up. We know those numbers are supposed to be going down. But anyways, I got a little video here, a couple little videos I want to play an excerpt of. I want to thank JP. He sent me these. He's a listener here on the 6 screens. He sent me a couple of, well, in Brazil. Now, did you know that Brazil, well, they have the memorial too. They have the memorial all over the world. But did you know that in the country of Brazil, they are the number 2 most populated country for Jehovah's Witnesses? Well, the United States, of course, is number 1. According to the Watchtower, I took this right off of their website. According to the Watchtower, in United States of America, that's where most of us live, right? There's 1,259,538 Jehovah's Witnesses. So just remember 1,200,000. In Brazil is the number 2 place for Jehovah's Witnesses, and they have 926,480. So I'm not saying they're catching up, but I'll tell you what, they're not too far behind the United States. So in Brazil, there's many people over there that take the Jehovah's Witness organization to the bank and cash it. They seem to love it, but not so fast with this. It seems like in Brazil, the Watchtower is having problems, just like they are in other places around the world. Now, I'm going to play a little video for you. I got to get this up, and then I'm going to give you some thoughts about this video. Now, in Brazil, well, you'll see it. I'll play a little video. Let me get into it right now. I got to present this, so give me a second. So let's see if we can't find share screen. And we're going to find, okay. We're going to go to Brazil here. Where is it? Why don't you show up for me? Okay, good news. Okay. Well, let's see. Okay, just give me a second here. All right. Okay, well, in Brazil, it shows them partaking. But let me just explain here what's going on. I got the clip up from actually Africa. I'll play to you, and that's interesting. I'm trying to get the one here on Brazil. For some reason, it's not showing up here. Let me see if I can't get it in here. No, just give us a second and see if I can't get that up. No, but anyways, in Brazil, I mean, the numbers, they showed pictures. I wanted to show you a video of the Kingdom Hall, this one particular one in Brazil, and there was so many empty seats. It really was. Now, that's not a common thing. When you go to the memorial, I mean, you can all remember how packed the Kingdom Halls were. I mean, standing room only. In some cases, I mean, people couldn't even get in the main auditorium. That's not the case anymore. And in Brazil, the brother who I got this video from, JP told me to look at it, and I did. And I saw the pictures of all the empty seats. Friends, if the Watchtower was watching that, they'd have to say, what's going on with our Kingdom Hall? But then also I heard it was pretty widespread. It just wasn't in that hall, but it seemed to be a good many halls, evidently in Brazil, had low attendance. Now that is a bellwether. If you got the second largest populated country for witnesses, and they're having problems getting people to the memorial, friends, that's a bellwether. That could be very meaningful. Now, as I said earlier, too, I'm getting reports coming in that even here in this country, even though some of the Kingdom Halls were packed because of it merging together, a lot of the Kingdom Halls had a lot of empty seats as well. So that's what we're getting here coming into the 6 screens. But let's talk about this in Africa. Now, whether this is going to be new light or not, I don't know. But let me just get Africa up here and see if I can't share this. I'm going to share this with you. And this has to do with the African countries what they're doing. I'll play the clip here as soon as it stops winding. But in Africa, what they're doing is they seem like they're not even letting the brothers and sisters. This might be a new light. They might be trying something new here, but they're not even letting the brothers and sisters touch the plate that the bread and wine is. Well, the bread comes on. They can't touch the plate. A brother just walks by with the plate and more or less, puts it in front of the person they want to take it. And the same with the wine. So they're not even letting the congregation touch it. And why this is doing this, I don't know. It's buffering.
In addition to not eating the emblems of bread and wine, now it seems that you don't even need to touch the plate anymore. That's right. At least that's what happens on the African continent.
Well, that's the Pioneer channel. That's Pioneero official. He does a good job. He's a good man. He does a good job with his YouTube. To salute him. But that's a little clip I wanted to play you on in Africa. And I'll go back so you can see it again. And notice how someone took a video of it. Now just notice quickly as the man's going by. Play the film.
In addition to not eating the emblems of bread and wine, now it seems that you don't even need to touch the plate anymore.
Yeah. No. I mean, could this be something, they don't want to, I think what they're afraid of, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the Watchtower is afraid of more and more people partaking. And it creates a real issue. It creates a real issue for the Watchtower because why is the number? And people question it. People go home and say, geez, we had 5 more people partake. So maybe the Watchtower is sending out this trial balloon in Africa. We talk about trial balloons. Try something in one area first to see if it goes over all right, and then move it into other areas. So maybe in view, I'm just thinking out loud here. I mean, don't take it to the bank and cash it because I don't know. But I'm thinking out loud that maybe the Watchtower is experimenting with this because so many people are taking the wine and taking and sipping it. And so also the bread, they're taking it. So just let the brother hold the bread plate. Don't let the people hold it because they'll take it. I mean, this is what seems to be going on. So I found that fascinating. It might be new light in the making. Only time will tell. So they can't even touch the emblems. That this is just another absurdity. I mean, can you imagine that? Who did that happen when Jesus sat down with his disciples and instituted the so-called memorial of the Last Supper? Is that what Jesus did? Don't touch it. I'll pass it by, but don't touch it. I mean, that's nutty, right? Certainly it's something to, I'll tell you, it's such a blessing though. I mean, really for all of us to hear the stupidity. And King Dots was just talking about just a while ago, the stupidity. It's actually motivating him to write poems about the Watchtower. So here we hear the stupidity, and now we're also seeing a very low attendance at the memorial. JP, what do you have to say?
Hi, Rick. Thanks for sharing that video. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, I was really hoping you could have shared the one that was showing the attendance from Brazil. But one thing that I wanted to say that was in the video that you might have forgot to mention was that picture that somebody took of an 11-year-old kid that was serving as an attendant at the memorial and passing the bread and wine. Just because they have that few people in the congregation and they don't even have an adult that could pass the bread and wine. It was an 11-year-old kid. I know you've seen that in the video. It was crazy, huh?
Yeah, I just got the video up. So thank you for reminding me of that. Let's play the video right now. I did get it up. For some reason, I lost it in my clips here, but I did get it up. I'm going to just fast forward here into about 3 minutes. And I want to thank you, JP, for sending that to me. Now you'll see the picture here of the empty seats, and you'll see the young brother. Now they covered his face with a cartoon character, but here we have an 11-year-old boy, walking around presenting the wine and the bread. Let's start right here with the empty seats, so you'll see them. Let's do it right here. Well, let me just share it. I got to share the screen. Just give me a second so I can do that. There's a little bit of logistics involved here. Share screen. Empty Kingdom Hall, Jehovah's Witnesses. Okay, why? Okay, just hang in here with me. Okay, there we go. We got it now. So let's share this. You're going to watch. Now just watch and watch the empty seats and then watch for the young boy passing the bread and the wine. Here we go.
And it seems that today it is not the same. Take a look at this video that was uploaded to the Pionera Oficial channel on Instagram, showing what happened in this congregation. You can see several empty spaces, and don't say that it's just in the middle, because you can see several empty chairs on the sides. There are more empty chairs than people, and this happened in the north of the country.
Notice the empty chairs on all sides of the hall. But that's not all, folks. Just look at this photo of a child. Yes, an 11-year-old child passing the bread and wine. In my time, this was done only by a ministerial servant. Of course, there are some congregations that don't have a ministerial servant and then they put an usher in, but an 11-year-old child as an usher and passing the bread and wine shows that there are no adult men in this congregation. It's strange. And that's where my question comes in. What's happening to Jehovah's Witnesses?
All right, we'll stop right there. All right, there you go. Well, good job. He did a good job with that, and I'm glad he had the film there. Thank you, JP. So what else would you like to say, JP? Do you want to come and say something? Thank you for saying that to us. Yes.
That was it. It's actually an XJW channel for Brazil, so he uses AI to translate to English. So that's why his voice sounds kind of like a computer-generated voice. But it's pretty much translating what he's saying in the video. So, but that's really crazy to me, Rick, because like he said, even in Brazil, they would never imagine to use a child. You know, there was always either a servant in the hall or at least an adult man that could serve as an usher that would be in good standing in the congregation. So I just thought that was pretty shocking, something I've never seen even with what was going on in Africa. So that's why I shared it to you, because I was wanting that to everybody that's tuning in tonight to be able to see that if they didn't catch it.
Oh, yeah, no, it was unbelievable. And in fact, I mean, people are saying, well, that was I didn't see the boy. I just saw a cartoon face. Well, they put it all over the boy. They can't, you know, a young guy, you can't just do that. You know, you're not going to indict.
They're protecting his anonymity and who he is. So, yeah, they have to just bleep out his face.
Yeah, it wouldn't be fair to do that to the poor kid, you know. But anyways, he was doing it. And you're right. What does that say? That speaks volumes. That means that there wasn't any capable brother. I mean, I don't think it could have a sister. I don't think a sister could pass the wine and the bread. Are you serious? I don't think that would ever happen. But so they use a young boy, 11 years old. That is nutty, really. Like you say, JP, never saw that before. Hey, what's going to happen next? And then that African one, too, that you sent me. My goodness, the brother walking around with the plate. Don't touch it. You know, didn't say that, but he's holding it and guarding it. I don't know what that's all about. Is that something? What do you think that's about, JP?
I don't know. I think that maybe the population, I think Watchtower is lying to us. I think that maybe the population in Africa is growing, but they don't have the administration or the missionaries to go out and kind of oversee these African countries and these foreign people, because that's what the society always did before. They would pretty much get people who were either went to Gilead or who were formally instructed by the organization to go to these countries and make sure everything operated accordingly to the society. But I think that this shows that they don't have their administration, or they don't have the people to go out there and, work as branch people, overseers, and other stuff. So it may be growing, but that seems to show to me that they may be losing control, because they seem, at least that congregation, what he was showing, it appears that they have some kind of a misunderstanding, or they're not really sure how, the proper Jehovah's Witness way of conducting the memorial is, which they, the attendants or the ushers stand on each aisle, they pass it down, the other attendant will pass it up the next aisle, and they want everybody to touch it and pass it. So I don't really know what that is, Rick, unless they got specific instruction from the upper people to conduct a memorial like that. But I would just say I don't think the society has missionaries going out to oversee these lands. The witnesses in different countries, South America and Africa, Asia, they're all a little different as it is than how we conduct things in the United States and other countries like Europe, which the society seems to be a lot more in control and have representatives, which I mean by representatives, people from the West, from the United States. They'll train missionaries in Gilead. At least that's what they used to do from the time of Nathan Noah on, and they would send people all over the world to almost like, they would bring their message there, and they would set up, establish witnesses, and then eventually, once the population grew, they started setting up branch facilities all over the world. And I think this ultimately just shows that they're not even capable of sending people that represent the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society to these countries to make sure and oversee that they're conducting things exactly how the society wants. I don't know. That's just a theory of mine. But to me, that would be the only reason why they would do something like that, is that these people don't have anybody directly from Brooklyn, Bethel, not Brooklyn, but Warwick, that are pretty much showing these people how they have to do everything, because that's how they used to do it, in the 70s, 80s, 90s. Even before then, as soon as they would establish Jehovah's Witnesses in these countries, they would specifically send down representatives there to oversee the branch facilities and the congregations to make sure that everything is being conducted pretty much like a cookie cut.
I'll tell you, JP. But I'll tell you, JP. I have to say that they're watching those congregations too. It's just not here in America. All over the world, they've got representatives. Maybe they slack off a little bit. But my thought, and I appreciate your thoughts on it. If anyone else has any thoughts, but it's true, they could just be a little slack. But, this idea of trial balloons, sending, a message. Now, those congregations, and I'm not in any way picking on the African Kingdom Hall people, but they are very spiritually minded people in Africa. I have talked to so many African people that really are Christians, and I mean they are sincere, honest-minded Christians. And you have a lot of these African people that they probably are seeing that they really should partake. They should partake. They can see it biblically. So what happens is the brother might be holding the wine and holding the plate with the bread on it so the people can't take it and grab it. It's just a thought, that's all. But anyways, thank you very much. Thank you very much, JP, for wanting to.
One other thing, Rick, I think too that it could be possibly correct what you're saying, is that it could be almost like trial run that they're doing, because we do very well know with the partakers numbers going up that that's presenting a problem to the governing body. So I wouldn't put it past you or me, like you were saying, that at some governing body meeting, they're saying, we're approaching, 24,000 people or maybe more are going to partake this year. How do we stop the numbers? Well, instead of changing the doctrine, which might be dangerous to them, they could say, you know what? We'll just let the attendants just pass it in front of the people, and we won't give them the opportunity to even partake. Maybe that's a way to solve it. So let's try in a few of these countries and see how they react until we make it more on a grand scale. I don't know, but I think you may be onto something with that too.
Yeah, I got thinking of that today when you sent that to me. The brother, I mean, he was holding, I believe he was holding it with two hands even. I mean, he didn't want anyone to grab it. Really, but, JP, you're a spiritually minded man. Can you imagine Jesus at the Last Supper or the memorial service, as they would call it? Can you imagine him? Okay, now, brothers, don't touch it. You can look at it, but don't touch it. My goodness, how anti-Christian is that? Thank you, JP. Thank you, Fred. Yes.
If they don't touch it, then it becomes the showbread in the Holy of Holies, and it's not what Jesus said to do. And when I went to memorial this last week, in the scripture, it says Jesus' words were, "Take, eat." And they read that scripture, but in the case of both emblems, they did not read the verbs take and eat.
Yeah, it is so clear, Pixie. It's so clear. Take and eat.
And they clearly edited out the two verbs in each case.
Oh, there you go.
But I didn't just take a sip, Brother Farron. I took a big gulp.
Well,
it was great.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm surprised the congregation wasn't talking about you after you left. Because
well, I talked to this young man who was half my age. He could be my son, and he was handsome, and he looked at me and smiled, and so I started talking to him. And this was after, and in the aisle, and this handsome Spanish elder comes up and says to him in English, because it's an English congregation, he says, "Well, is this your first memorial?" And the young man says, "Well, yes." And then he says to me, "Is this your first one?" And I said, "No." And I told him my age, and he shut up. So it was sort of interesting, because he wanted to know more about me.
Well, that is odd, but I'll tell you.
I didn't do it out of ego. I did it out of my need to understand what my father wanted me to do, and it wasn't done to attract attention or any ego. It was done because I needed to do it, and now I can go elsewhere and do it. But
there you go. Well, there you go, Pixie. It's funny because you say it took a gulp of the wine. When I was well, I'll tell you. In fact, it's funny because I said it's funny the witnesses aren't talking about you. They probably are. But anyways, when I was one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and everybody knows it, I was of the anointed class, and they'd pass the wine, and I mean it was like a sporting event. Well, there is the wine, and they're passing the wine. Sister Farron takes a sip. She passes it over to Brother Farron. Brother Farron takes, and all the kids are standing on their seats, all watching. It's like a dog and pony show. And so anyways, I just didn't take like a little tiny sip. I mean, I didn't gulp the whole glass down, but I took a good sip. And then they were gossiping for a week later. Did you see how much wine Brother Farron drank? Jeez, you can't do anything right. And that's why even when King and Dots was on a little earlier, it's a war zone. Go into the Kingdom Hall is like a war zone, for goodness sakes. That's you have to be on the defense all the time. Well, thank you for your comments, Pixie. Thank you. Yeah, so it's a blessing to hear the low attendance thus far of the memorial. Now, let me tell you, they're going to cook the books. They're going to come back. They're going to pump the numbers up. But you all know it. The Watchtower organization is dead. It just hasn't fallen over with. I mean, everyone is seeing this dumb cult die. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. And I know even the king. Yeah, yes.
I got a memorial story.
Yeah.
Now, back in my original hall before they did a quick build, after you do a quick build, everything goes to hell. Trust me, I know. Anyway, I came upon an old guy out in field service, way out in the country. His name was Charlie, can't quite remember, B something. And he lived in a shack that he built on somebody else's land with plywood and everything. And he had electricity hooked up to it. And the guy never went out in field service, ever. But they put him on the assembly program, got him baptized. I used to pick him up for the meetings all the time. And I taped the whole assembly. I got all that on tape. This is a person who never, ever took a door. And they baptized him. He was like 78, which isn't that old, as you know, Rick, right? Right? You're like 74, 70, 64, I mean? 54.
I'm 76.
There you go. I turn 70 next Saturday. But I will tell you, it became a huge assembly park. All a farce, a complete farce. But here's what happened as a memorial. This is a memorial story. His first memorial, an overseer's son sat next to him. And Dennis Doyle, who I told you about a couple weeks ago, sat next to him. They were good buddies. And they encouraged Charlie to drink the wine and eat the bread. And that became the huge scandal in the congregation. It was really ridiculous, you know, the things that go on. But I was proud of them. It proves anybody can drink the wine and eat the bread. So that's my little memorial scandal story.
Well, that's a good scandal. No, it's crazy because it's that goes on in almost all. Yeah, unreal. Yeah, well, I've heard that before. I've heard it before. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
All right. Well, that's King of Dots. My goodness, King of Dots. Always good to hear from him. Who wants to speak up? Go ahead. You're on with us.
I just have a quick comment.
Sure.
I talked to an elder's wife, and she told me that it was so important that I attended this memorial because probably this is the last memorial. And the reason, she said, is that the world is coming to an end. And she also, in fact, told me that in September, we will get more information about that the world is coming to an end. So that information will come out in September. Thank you.
Well, Grace, that adds some more momentum to our discussion. And, you know, they more or less say that every year. And, you know, even this year, you know, many were saying in the congregations that, you know, if you don't come to the memorial, there's a chance you could die. Now, I don't think they pulled that on everybody because it wouldn't work. I mean, if I was invited to something and a person said to me, if you don't come, you're going to die. Geez, I wouldn't take that serious at all. That's over the top. But even the Watchtower, an article I mentioned last week, mentioned the same thing. And they were relating the memorial to the Passover. And they mentioned in the Watchtower articles back in the 1970s. And the Watchtower article said that, you know, if you were an Israelite and you didn't come to the memorial, to the Passover, that you get the death penalty. Yeah, I didn't realize it was that strong, but you would get the death penalty. So they were liking that to the memorial. Right in the Watchtower saying if you don't come to the memorial, in essence, you would die. New Jersey, you're on with us. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes.
Oh, hi. I need your help a little bit, Water Farron.
This is Kim from New Jersey, and I want to attend the convention in August. However, I can't send you an email because my computer is not working, and I don't do that on my phone. And the library is always packed. So please send me a text message so I can text you my address so you can send me a ticket for the memorial. I mean, for the convention.
Right. Well, just what you do is you can text me and be fine. Text me and be fine.
Well, I don't have your number. I don't have your number.
All right. I got your number.
You have my number, so you can.
Yeah, I'll call.
And I'll send you my address.
Okay, I'll call you, and then you can send me the text. And it doesn't come snail mail. I'll do it through your email. You get the ticket. You get the ticket in the email. Yeah.
I don't have I don't really do email. I can't check my email. My computer's not working.
Okay,
That's
so
why I have not emailed you.
okay, well, all right. So what I'll do is I'll call you. Give me a few days. If I don't call you in the next few days, don't worry. But we will. I'm going to reserve a ticket for you. Okay. I'm going to tell you. I'm going. Okay, right
and
now.
I wanted to thank you. I wanted to thank you for passing out my number to that sister, and she contacted me, and we're gonna room together.
Well,
thank you so much.
Well, you were very good. No, in fact, I want to mention to people out there listening too that if you'd like to come to the convention, and friends, it's expensive today. Everything is expensive. For goodness sakes, even to buy to buy anything today is a lot more than it was a few years ago. So a lot of people saying, "Geez, Rick, I'd like to come. I can't afford it." But let me know if you could share a room. Maybe someone's coming. In fact, I got a couple of rooms for males. I got two people who wrote me. I have two rooms. There's a male. And I'm not going to put male and female together, right? So we got two rooms. Two men have said that if someone wants to share a room with them, you can get you half price, and both people can save money. So let me know. And write me at jwworldnews@gmail.com and say, Rick, I'd like to get one of those rooms, and you could save, and I can put you in contact. Now, I'm not going to be the matchmaker here. You'll have to vet each other out. I don't want to put you in a room with a grouchy person, right? So I'm going to let you vet them. I'm not going to say, okay, you're staying with Jimmy Jones. You call Jimmy Jones and talk to him. See if they're compatible. All right. Okay, Kim, I'll be in touch. Yes, JP.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, just one thing real quick. It's more like of a question. Well, actually, real quick, I just wanted to tell you what happened at my memorial. I went actually to a different Kingdom Hall, and it was the Kingdom Hall that I went to since I was like 5 years old till maybe I was around an adult, like 18 or 19. That was my home congregation, I guess you can say. And I think the Kingdom Hall probably has enough sittings and chairs that are actually bolted into the ground that they could probably fit maybe 160 people. And when I went on Saturday, it was full, but it wasn't filled. For example, I think maybe there was 40 seats missing, so there maybe was about 120 people there. And when I used to go to that Kingdom Hall back in the day, they would rent chairs, folding chairs from like a party supply company, an extra 30 or 40, and we put them in the back all the way through the center of the hall. And even sometimes there would be only standing room, like some of us younger brothers, we would give up our seats if we had guests or, other people. And sometimes it would be standing room only, and we'd get close to maybe a little under 300 people just in that one Kingdom Hall. It would just be huge. And when I went there was no rented folding seats. They couldn't even fill the Kingdom Hall. So that was one thing I noticed. So I think you're going to be correct when you say that the memorial attendance is going to spike down, not spike up, but make a huge spike down this year. I would agree with you based off of what we've seen in that video in Brazil and kind of what I've seen. I mean, we don't know, but I think if it doesn't, they're just going to fudge the numbers like they always do. And the only other thing besides saying that, I just wanted to ask you. I know I was born in the '80s, so I was a witness all through in the early '80s. So I was witness all through from recollection of my memories, late '80s, all through the '90s, and early 2000s of being a witness. Except at the later time, in the later 2000s, I remember giving out memorial invitations and stuff. But was that something, Rick, that witnesses used to do in the 80s and 70s and prior to that? Would they go and give out memorial invitations and invite everybody? Because I don't remember them doing that until maybe the last 20 years or so, that they really would print up memorial invitations and stuff and invite people. I mean, maybe that was before my time, but when I was really young, I don't remember we'd have campaigns to invite people to the memorial. We would just have the memorial, and people would just show up and somehow figure out that it was a memorial season for Jehovah's Witnesses. But is that something that they used to do, let's say, prior to 1990 in the 80s, 70s, and
Oh yeah. Well, I'll tell you, JP. Really, I mean, I was a witness for 50 years, really through the 1950s. Of course, I was born in '48, so. But I came in the early '50s. But I couldn't remember too much back then. But yeah, I mean, I can remember in around 1960 or so. I know it was we would go, and there were campaigns back then too. And I mean, they really geared the brothers and sisters up to get to the Kingdom Hall. We have a special campaign. If ever you're going to go out in service, you got to go out during the memorial. This is the most important meeting of the year. And I mean, we went crazy with that. And I can remember, 40, 50 people would show up at the Kingdom Hall. And yeah, go ahead, Zach.
Can I comment? Hi, it's Zachary. I was thinking about that same question earlier, and the way they used to do it. Rick, if you remember, the memorial invitation used to be on a small, plain white sheet of paper that was a little larger than a 3x5 index card. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Yes. And remember, this could have been a local thing, but my mother, I look at what she did. You couldn't exactly just give them out to everybody. You didn't give them to people that you met at the door that you never knew before. You gave them, they were supposed to be, they would pinch them off to you, pinch them off. And you were supposed to give them to people who were Bible studies and people who were return visits, and preferably making some progress. These big campaigns are a new thing. They are new because memorial used to be much more elite. They pinch those invitations off and give them to you, and you didn't have a whole lot. My mother didn't have a whole lot. They would pinch them off and give them, and if you needed more, you'd go back and get more. But this is a new thing. And I have a comment. Again, I mentioned some weeks back about a change in doctrine. There was a major change in doctrine back in 2007. It was in the question from readers. And I think the specific magazine was the Watchtower, May 1st. And that's when they made they considered that people coming in might not simply be, new anointed people, new partakers might not be replacements, but they might be original. Like, no longer were they saying that the 144,000 was filled by 1935. That's when they opened it up. So I think if a person were to do a review on the years, starting from 2008 on, that's when you might see that more exponential growth in memorial partakers. And then one more thing about Africa. In, I believe in mid-90s, the yearbook had Mozambique, the work in Mozambique. And in that yearbook, they said that in Mozambique, there was why am I talking about this? Because of the way they were passing the emblems in Africa with nobody touching them, where the brother was holding on to them, like with body language that said, "Don't touch these." In Mozambique, in that yearbook, they made the point that there was an apostate group, mostly from Malawi. They called them an apostate group, who said that the time of the elders had ended in around 1975, and that now it was the time of the anointed. The anointed were supposed to be taking the lead. And so, maybe it's got something, maybe in Africa they do partake more readily. I don't know. That's just a guess right there.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that with us, Zach. And, I remember those white little cards that we would give out. And they did intensify it. But, as long as I was a witness, we had to really make a concerted effort to let people at least be aware of the memorial, Bible studies, return visits, like you say. And I can remember even, Satan kicked me out of his organization back in 2005. But even prior to that, the 80s and 90s, it was intense with the campaigns that we had, seriously. And I know they upped the antes as the years went along, yeah.
Well, some of those campaigns that they had were the return of the tract work. They call them Kingdom News something.
Yeah.
Kingdom News 15, Kingdom News 16. And I think the first one was, Is Time Running Out? And that was supposed to take place in a 10-day period. And I think that everybody was supposed to get 100 tracts to hand out to place in that 10-day period. That was one of those big things, but it was not memorial based.
Right. No, I can remember that. But also in the memorial, I can remember, as a matter of fact, numerous times being in the organization as long as I was, that, the circuit overseer happened to be coming to our congregation around memorial time. Now, the circuit overseer is coming, so you want to make sure you're getting ready to go out in service and let people know about the memorial and let people be aware of what's happening. And they have upped the ante in the last couple of years, especially this year, Zach. I have to tell you, I have got people have written me. One last week, for example, the woman's been out for over 20 years, and she got a call from an elder. She doesn't want to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses. She got a call from an elder. Can you come to the memorial? Plus, they're inviting disfellowship ones. Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, Rick.
Yeah.
People.
Yeah. Go ahead. Who's that?
This is JP.
Yeah, JP.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, actually, based off of what Zachary just said, I actually had a recollection of a memory when I was young, and I do remember giving out those cards. I remember they're like maybe 3 by 5 or maybe smaller, and they would just have a simple picture of the bread and wine, and I think they had a scripture of Luke 21, and I actually had a memory because we used to have the book study when they had it back then at my house from when I was 8 to 16, and I remember the book study conductor, we had the memorial invitations, and we got a few each. And I think we're specifically, like Zach said, or maybe you said, we weren't supposed to hand them out to everybody. They were mostly for a return visit or people that really showed interest or accepted the magazines. We wouldn't just give them out to everybody. But it's funny, I got a memory of using a ink pad and a stamp with stamping the Kingdom Hall address on the back of the memorial, the invitation, when I was about 9 years old. So, and we did that after book study. And I just want to thank Zach for saying that. I kind of brought up a memory that I haven't recalled like ever. I just kind of thought about it right now for the first time ever since it happened. So.
Well, Zach is our historian here. He does a great job at it. Hey, look, we've got a lot of people calling in right now. I'm going to call out some area codes here. I see 614. Come on.
Yeah, Rick, this is Michael. How you doing?
Good, Mike. Thank you.
Hey, yeah, this is the first time that I've never been contacted by a Jehovah's Witness or got a personal invitation to come to the memorial. That never happened this year for the first time in my life.
Isn't that something?
But anyway, yeah. I had my elder friend. I think I talked to you last week or so. When my elder friend called me and asked me to Zoom in, I could make a Zoom and go. So, yeah, I did that. But anyway, I wanted to talk to you today because tomorrow is a big day. Of course, and not because of Easter to me. I hear people call in and I hear the anger in their voices and their heartbreak in the voices of the people because they've been misled by this organization. And I understand your position completely where you let people run out. I think it's commendable of you because you're there for their concerns and their needs. And so I appreciate you doing that. And I understand that because I felt the same way. When I was left the organization, I felt betrayed by the organization. I felt angry. And more importantly, Rick, I didn't want anything to do with God at all. I would tell my children never to go to church. It was brainwashing. Don't even believe in this Bible. Forget it all. But 26 years ago, tomorrow, was something that changed my life. And that's when I flipped on the TV, and it was Columbine High School. And the newscaster said they had a gun to a girl's head and asked if she believed in God. And she said she did, and they shot her. My back went up against the wall. I slid down. And I said, Michael, that is pure evil. That's pure evil. That's the devil himself. And what are you doing with your life? You know right and you know wrong. Don't let Jehovah's Witnesses dictate who you are. And for the first time in my life, I went to a church and I heard a preacher act like he was talking to me directly. And I heard the love of Jesus Christ. I heard a different Jesus Christ. And so if anyone is listening out there now and you feel that anger and you feel betrayed, don't give up who you are in Christ. You got into the organization because you wanted to do right, just like I did. Don't let them dictate who you are. You still can come to the love of Jesus Christ. I know you don't like to talk about that on Saturday, but I wanted to express that today.
Well, no, that deserves attention. That's not preaching. That's giving your heartfelt, sincere understanding of. In fact, you said something that got me thinking, and I wonder about this. I stay awake at night. You know, when I was one of Jehovah's Witnesses, I went to the meeting to learn about God. I didn't go there for a social club or looking for the next gathering. I went there to try to learn the scriptures, learn the Bible. I will say the Watchtower taught me how to find Bible scriptures. They taught me some things, but I really had a sincere desire to want to learn about God. And this is what I wonder. This is what keeps me awake some nights. You have so many people leave the Watchtower and, wow, they head for the mountains. You know, they don't want anything to do with God at all. And boy, the Watchtower should be ashamed of themselves. I'll tell you, I don't want to be in their position on Judgment Day. I'll tell you that. Boy, for destroying so many people's faith. But I'm not preaching to you folks. But Michael, that was a very, very good, heartfelt comment. Thank you, Michael. Thank you.
Okay, love you, Rick.
Love you too, Mike. You're a good man. Don't you ever change, Mike. We love you. All right. So we've got who would like to speak up? I mean, how do you follow a comment like that, right? How do you see that Columbine? I remember that. That was one of the first shootings. Kids were killed. It was terrible. And see, that can jog a person. That can get a person thinking. Well, you're on JW World News. This is the news. The Watchtower doesn't want us talking about, but aren't we all glad to see the Watchtower in decline? And, I'm going to give you the litmus test. A lot of people are saying, well, Rick, how do you know the memorials are tanking? How do you know the Watchtower is tanking? Well, there's a litmus test. Geez, you don't have to go to, some major university to figure this thing out. I mean, let's get real. Well, why would you sell off? If your business is so great, and Watchtower is a business, if your business is so great, why are they selling off so many Kingdom Halls? If your memorial attendance is so wonderful, why are you playing games with, merging congregations? And some other congregations have nobody, but other congregations have overflow. Why are you meeting in hotels. It's not because you're having so many people. You're doing that so people show up, and there's 1,000 people in a hotel. Wow, look at all the people. It's a game. It's a game they're playing. But I'll tell you, with the big decline, it's obvious the Watchtower cannot be bringing the money in through donations that they used to bring in. They're not bringing in the baskets of money like they did before. Don't get me wrong. Now they're bringing some money in, but not like before. I can only tell you so many people. They're writing on Reddit. They're doing YouTube videos. They're making comments on websites, including mine. They don't give to the Watchtower anymore. So you say, well, how are they making their money? I'm going to tell you how the Watchtower is making money. You already know it anyways. But they're making their money from real estate and the stock market. They're making tons of money. They they are financial advisors. These guys, there's people in the Watchtower that know how to invest money. They started their own investment firm. So, they might not be bringing the money in through donations like they did before, but they're bringing it in through real estate investments and through the stock markets. So the preaching work, we all know it's dead. Well, when's the last time you saw a Jehovah's Witness knock on your door? There isn't anybody listening in here tonight that, well, maybe there is. I don't want to say for sure, but we have about 200 people listening in right now live. And there's probably not one person on this program that had a witness knock on their door today. Probably not. So I have to tell you the preaching work is dead. Everyone is now aware of the horror stories in the Watchtower. The religion is dead. I've told you this before. It just hasn't fallen over yet. And you might say, well, Rick, when did the religion die? Because I've been counting down the Watchtower for many years here. So I believe, it's just my own thoughts. I mean, don't take it as, wow, Rick is 100% right, because I don't know. But I think the witness world, I think the Watchtower organization died around the middle of the 1990s. Yeah, I think the governing body, I believe they noticed this maybe about 15 years ago. They said, man, we better start dismantling. We better start doing something here. We're losing too many people. People aren't believing this. And you say, well, wait a minute, Rick, is there proof of this? You're taking numbers, you're throwing them out at us. Is there any, can you give me any evidence? Can you give me any evidence supporting your fact that the Watchtower basically has died, and they died around the middle of the 90s? Well, how about the cutting of all the Bethelites? Do you realize how many Bethelites have been cut? Now, do you cut employees when your business is really going bonkers? The answer to that is no. So they've cut all these Bethelites. They're creating all of these new videos. It's a new way of rebranding, trying to attract a different audience. And only one new Watchtower article a year. Do you remember the times when we had, well, it would be 2 a month times 12, 24 new Watchtowers. They got one new Watchtower a year. And do you remember the time when we had to count time? They no longer have to count time. And they're selling halls off like crazy. Is this a sign of an organization that's gaining momentum? No. And lots of regular Jehovah's Witnesses are starting to notice this. It's just not people that are doubting and apostates. It's many Jehovah's Witnesses, normal, PME, loyal witnesses are starting to notice something is wrong. You can't go to the Kingdom Hall. You can't go to a convention and see all these empty seats and say, oh, this is wonderful. I mean, don't you even wonder? I often think of this. When we were witnesses, we all had friends, and some of them really were good friends, really. And all of a sudden, your good friend, Sister Jones, and her husband, Jimmy Jones, and their kids, they don't come anymore. Wouldn't you be concerned? Well, where's Sister Jones? Where's the kids? Where's Brother Jones? This is going to be happening pretty much all across the world. I mean, are the witnesses waking up and smelling the coffee? I I mean, their efforts right now, the odds, I'm going to say there's a lot of odds against the Watchtower and getting new people to join them. There's got to be. I mean, can you possibly imagine today talking to a Jehovah's Witness at a cart, or if you even had one witness to you at the door, and then after they would leave, don't you think you would Google it? I mean, everyone does that. I see people Googling in the shopping in the market where I buy food. They're Googling their wife and showing her a picture of should we buy this meat or not? So is someone going to change their religion without Googling it in? Come on. So, I'm saying the Watchtower is in big decline. And, I kind of think it's like the malls. J.C. Penney, Macy's, do you know their business stinks right now? It stinks. People, they're on the verge of going under. A lot of stores are on the verge of going under. And you say, why? I'll tell you why. What do you think why? It's because of Amazon. It's because of people buying stuff online. Well, why are you going to park your car, run into a mall, go up the escalator, look for a shirt your size? They don't have it your size. When you can order that shirt from Amazon, they get such a large inventory. You get it the next day, it's done, finished. Well, why do you need a mall anymore? So just like the internet has destroyed the malls and it's getting worse for retail business, it's the same thing with the Watchtower. The internet has destroyed the Watchtower. It's changed the way that businesses do business. It's changed the way that religions do business. Yes, the internet is exposing all the problems, not only in the Jehovah's Witness religion, but religions of all types all around the world. It's shedding the true light on how scandalous many of them are, the lies that many of them tell, and allows one to what the internet has done, what we're doing here tonight. It's allowing us to create our own community. Yes, our own little community. I see people writing in the chat. I see people listening on the telephone. I see them watching on YouTube and Facebook. We have our own little community here. And this is a good thing. This is what the internet has done for us. So I want to say, why is this all changing? It has to do with all the activists. It has to do with all these YouTube videos where we see Jehovah's Witnesses former Jehovah's Witnesses coming on and telling their stories on how they were touched by the tentacles. And I want to right now, I want to tell everyone out there, thank you. If you're an activist, thank Mike and Kim, thank John Cedars, thank all the people, Critical Thinker, and you name them all the people that are exposing the Watchtower. It's working. All of this exposure that we've all been doing is working. The lawsuits are continuing to pile up. People are waking up. Governments are taking action. Governments are looking how difficult it is for people being in the Watchtower. And it's a known fact. Look at what's even happening around the world with governments. Japan, Norway, of course, they looked into the witness world. Belgium, Denmark, so many countries. I counted 12 of them. They're violating human rights. The Watchtower reputation has been stained. More blood is on their hands. People are dying because of the policies of the Watchtower. You're on with us. What do you have to say? What do you think? Do you think the what?
Hi, Rick.
Yes. Hello. Who's this?
Hi. I didn't want to interrupt. This is Carol.
Yes.
Carrie.
Yes.
You asked a question a few minutes ago about when was the last time, or have you seen any Jehovah's Witnesses lately? Well, I could say that I haven't seen one in 2 years. They came up maybe 2 years ago for the memorial. They left a little pamphlet in my door. Of course, I was home, but I'm not answering. I really don't even want to waste my time talking to them. And as far as elders and all that go, they don't know my name now. They knew me by 2 other names, but they don't know my name that I carry now. So I haven't had any contact in years, and I've been gone. Good Lord, almost. Well, I'd say 50 years at least. So, I don't miss them, and I wouldn't step foot in that Kingdom Hall for nothing.
Well, I'm glad you speak like that, Carrie. I mean, it shows that you have a bone to pick with the Watchtower. They never really enhanced your life, did they?
No. You know what? I loved being a Jehovah's Witness. No matter what was happening, I just loved it. I believed everything. It took me a long time to deprogram, believe me. But I got very lucky, and I found this little chat room on AOL about Jehovah's Witnesses, ex-Jehovah's Witnesses that love Jehovah. And then they changed their name a couple of times to DF, disfellowship, XJWs, love Jehovah and all that stuff. But it took me 9 years almost to deprogram, and very carefully, believe me. I couldn't believe some, even though I went through hell in there, the things that they made me do and stay with an extremely abusive husband, but still, I believed that was the truth. But that little chat room, boy, and I still have friends to this day after over 25 years. I met Brenda Lee, who wrote the book Out of the Cocoon. She's wonderful. She helped me a lot. And there were so many that became authors, and I can't remember their names, but I haven't seen a witness, and I wouldn't waste 2 seconds of my time talking to them. Not even that. And I admire anybody else who can, but not for me.
Well, thank you for, you've always been a very sensible-minded woman, Carrie. I've always appreciated when you call in, you speak with conviction. You really do. You don't hesitate to, you don't beat around the bush. You say it like it is. And I appreciate that, Carrie, with you. You're a fine lady. I mean that.
I appreciate that also. You know how I am, Rick. If I don't like something, I'll say it. And if I like it, I will say it also. But I found 6 Screens through my daughter, who found it several years ago. And she's gone now. I mean, she doesn't come in anymore, but I've been a faithful, every week. I love the show. I love all the new people that have arrived. There are people who have gotten on with their lives. They don't care to hear about it anymore. It doesn't matter to them. But it's always interesting to meet new people. And I've been an activist for a very long, long time after I learned. So I've helped, I have people that, good Lord, it's been 25, 28 years, something like that I met in that little AOL chat room that were ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. And we strictly went under aliases. Nobody ever said their real name. So, but anyways, good job. Enjoying your show.
Well, thank you, Carrie. You got me thinking. I'm glad you brought it up. people have come on. We've had so many people come through here, and they get what they need, and they say, "That's it. I'm going to move on." And we understand that. That's interesting. They do that. There's some that stick around and are real activists like yourself, but there's also people, including my own children, for example, that were all witnesses, but they really don't want too much to do with any of this. They don't want to be activists, and there's a lot of witnesses like that. They just figured, no, I'm going to just let it go. But it's the activists that are really bringing the Watchtower down right now, Carrie. And I'm so proud that you're part of that. All of them. And there's so many of us now. There wasn't always this many. There was only a handful at one time. But now there's little.
I know.
Yeah. Now little. There's hundreds. There's hundreds. Look at the YouTube. Look at the great creators on YouTube and the wonderful videos and all of these people. I mean, they're getting attention. And of all the different, of all the different cults, Carrie, and I mean, there's plenty of them. Scientology, the Mormons, the 7 day, well, the 7 day Adventists aren't really a cult, according to Walter Martin, but the Christian Scientists, of all the different cults, the one that's looked up the most on Google is Jehovah's Witnesses. And I often wonder, why is that? It's because, they really scammed us all. They really did.
Sure did.
And we didn't know it. We really didn't see it. I mean, if I was a Scientologist, I think I could see it a lot easier. But the Watchtower was so smooth about it. It was hard to really see it. And when we did see it, whoa, we got to tell the world about it. So thank you for telling the world too, Carrie. You're a fine lady. Don't you ever change.
Always.
All right. Good.
Thank you. Have a great Easter.
Well, you too. Yes. Yeah. Tomorrow's Easter. Resurrection Day, as they would call it. Thank you.
Yes, it is.
There you go. Thank you.
Somebody said to me today when I went to the store, "Happy Resurrection Day." And I thought, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. No, I'll tell you, it's, Friday was a big day too. That's when Jesus died. Oh, yeah. And then, of course, he was resurrected.
I know.
But as much as even the world, many people don't love Jesus. Many people do. But, they do acknowledge him to some degree. I mean, they do have a holiday, right? And, in fact, a lot of holidays. Christmas is another holiday that centers around Jesus. So he's still alive and well. And I'm glad that you're on board in a spiritual way. Good girl. Thank you, Carrie.
Oh, I sure am.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's Carrie. My goodness. She's an activist. Been around for a while doing it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
You just brought up something.
Yes. What was it, Pixie?
I have had a lifetime question about it. Mel Gibson is doing a part 2 called The Resurrection. My dad loved all the miracles when Jesus was resurrected. The Watchtower had a wonderful cover of the women at the tomb, and for about 2 months, you thought they were really going to go Christian, and then it quit. Is there any other religion on planet Earth that just has the death of Jesus and he doesn't get resurrected? This has bothered me since I was a small child.
Well, the Watchtower centers more on his death than the resurrection. They do. And like I mentioned last week.
But it's like a joke with no punchline. It's like no reward.
Well, see, they don't want... The Watchtower is an odd religious organization. They're so odd that it's not sensible. It's hard to make sense out of nonsense, as we always say. But what really gets my goat, even with the memorial, they look at that as like a celebration. And even as I brought up here numerous times, you go to a funeral, they say that it's more important to celebrate a person's life than their birth. That's one of the reasons why they don't celebrate Christmas. But so be that. But they do look at the death of Jesus as it's like a celebration. They should really be celebrating the resurrection, is what they should be celebrating. And then all the witnesses could come together and say, yeah.
I had my reporter hat on, and I looked at Good Friday with the Vatican, and everyone was sad. And then today I look at Notre Dame, and they're getting ready tomorrow for Easter Sunday, Resurrection Sunday, and everyone was joyful, and the music made you feel wonderful, as if this bodily resurrection was going to happen any minute. And the message was a hopeful message. It's like the witnesses have taken the whole hope thing out of the story, and then they move us from the death of Jesus all the way to the last judgment, and they're missing 1,000 years, and Jesus didn't even come back to do the miracles of Emmaus, make breakfast at the beach, and go up to the mountain to ascend, which is in the Bible.
Yes.
So they're not supposed to add or take away, but they took out the most important part of the second half of the opera.
Well, when you stop and think about it, Pixie, I have to, because there's a lot of people listening in, and you're a spiritually minded woman, and you certainly want to know where we're going in life, as most people want to know. The Watchtower really didn't give us direction. We kind of all believed in their doctrine at one time, but everybody listened to this program here tonight. You ask questions, you really do. And we never got our answers from the Watchtower. And, really, when you stop and think about it, the answers are right in front of our nose, But so many people are just so willing to run away when they hear spirituality. But not being too spiritual here tonight or too preachy. But tomorrow is a big day. It is a big day.
And I do wish that you Sunday people would talk about the road to Emmaus. Is there any other religion that stops the story at Jesus' death and doesn't continue it? Because I don't think there's any other of the 500 Christian denominations. I don't think there's any other group that cheats us that way.
Oh, well, the Watchtower is in a league of their own. They're in a league of their own, Bixie. I mean, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this is JP here. I was just going to say that with the Watchtower, how they do the memorial, they say it's a memorial of Christ's death. It really contradicts their own doctrine. It defies what regular traditional Christians would perceive as what they're doing, actually, because Christ was resurrected and he's king now. He's alive. He's not still dead. And even Jehovah's Witnesses believe that Christ is alive and he took reign in the year 1914, which we know 1914 is a bunk year, but that's besides the point. The point is every year they have a memorial for Christ's death, like he's still dead, and Christ is not dead, he's alive. That's why regular Christians celebrate the resurrection of Christ, not his death.
Oh, thank you, JP. No, you're right. But see, the Watchtower, they don't really want you to be a real God-fearing person. They want you to love them, not God. The Watchtower, they're synonymous with God. Really, that's how most witnesses are. They think that Watchtower is God. Really, in their own minds, that's how they do it. So they're so mixed up on that, but they missed the real meaning. All right. Well, I don't know if anyone heard what went on with the July 2025 Watchtower. Have you seen that? Maybe you don't look at jw.org like I do, but there's an article in the July 2025 Watchtower, and it's all about Philip Brumley. You say, well, who's Philip Brumley? Philip Brumley is one of the more astute, according to the Watchtower, lawyers that they have. Despite, now I'll tell you what, he's a lawyer, but he lies. Maybe a lot of lawyers lie, but this Philip Brumley, the Watchtower, has his life story in the 2025 Watchtower. Now, why do I bring this up? Just to give you a little background on this Philip Brumley character, and then all the characters who they're all the lawyers. They're all characters. They're all sleazy people that are defending a corrupt organization. But just to give you a little idea about Philip Brumley, he was actually sued by a court for misleading and false statements contained in 2 affidavits. They were filed in connection with a pair of the Montana child abuse lawsuits. Now, we have one of the girls who was on this program a couple of years ago that was molested in Montana. And what happened is Philip Bromley, the Watchtower lawyer, came in and he made it very, very difficult. Eventually, the girls did win their suit against the Watchtower. But because Philip Bromley was lying through his teeth, the court actually fined him in the year 2023 for some of the things that he said during the lawsuit against the Watchtower in Montana. So he was fined $154,000. I'm sure the Watchtower paid it. But here they have a life story showing a picture of smiling. Philip Brumley. I wanted to bring that up. Friends, because it just shows you, the witnesses are going to pick that article up. Oh, look at Brother Brumley. Oh, what a nice man. Do they know he was fined $154,000 because he lied in a lawsuit against the Watchtower about child abuse? How first of all, how could any grown man, how could you go into a court when little children, the girl that came on the program a few years back, and she told a story, it was sad. And yet, how can a man get up and lie, especially a lawyer? They should have debarred him for that. But how can a lawyer get up there and lie and let a person who has been really hurt feel like a loser? I'll tell you what, it's a shame. But anyways, that's what I wanted to bring up tonight. I came across that article. I thought it was of interest. So, we talk about yeah, go ahead. Yep.
This is Stephen. Real quick, when I heard about that same article on Philip Brumley, it made me wonder why do a puff piece to try to show him in a good light. I'm wondering if witnesses are starting to find out that he had been fined because of all of his lying and the twisting of the truth, and to counter that, they put out this puff piece. Just something that came into my mind.
Well, that's coming into everyone's minds. That I think of that too. If they hear about it, the Watchtower is going to counteract it. Let's hear what the King of Dots has to say. Come on, King. Well, maybe.
Yeah, I'm here. I was going to try to pull up something. Let me see if I got it here real quick, because I've been researching this expression Jesus made, and I'll ask you why I'm trying to pull it up on my screenshot here. What does kick the dust off your feet mean?
Well, I suppose we could look at that. That would be in Acts 20:20. It talks similarly about that, to move on.
And twice in the Gospels, yeah.
And so, it's door to door.
What does that mean to you? Give us your definition of what it means, because I looked up the definition. I'm sure I'm not going to try to make you look like you're incorrect or anything.
All right, no, it's just coming from the scripture, 20:20 Acts. It would show to me that if a person is not really listening to you or in any way paying even attention to you, move on. Kick the dust off your feet. Move on to the next person.
Does it say anything about coming back every week or two, or the next month?
No.
Or the next month after that? That's what I'm talking about, Rick. Watchtower, another twisting of the scriptures. We are not supposed to hound people at their houses constantly. They brag about, we do every door in New York City once a week and every door in Hawaii once a week. That's not Christian. And it's not what Jesus said to do is the point.
You're right.
And if they come to your door, just throw that scripture in their face. I said no last time. What don't you understand about that? Just kick the dust out of your feet and do not come back here. Hey, I was in charge of the territories, and we had whole roads got together and petition us. Never come here again. You know why? They were the closest little road to the Kingdom Hall. What do you think happened? Everybody hounded them to get their field service started. It was horrible. It's a horrible witness. They keep talking about, well, if somebody commits adultery, that's going to be a bad witness. No, your field service is a bad witness right now. You cannot treat your neighbors that way. It's not, what do they call it, love a neighbor? Man, oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, I was in a witnesses too long. Forgot what that meant, you know.
Yeah.
So that's my pet peeve for tonight. Kick the dust off your feet and leave people the hell alone. And if you drunken Bethelites are hearing this, that means when they tell you go and filter, say, I'm sorry, I'm going to follow Jesus today.
Yeah.
And please do.
Well,
that was my last thought for tonight.
Well, thank you, King and Dodge. No, you got me.
It took 3 minutes and 47 seconds, by the way.
Well, no, in fact, you got me thinking. You really do, and I do understand that kick your dust off your feet. But you know, when we were Jehovah's Witnesses, and I'm going to tell you, you know, I've been a salesman all my life. I got my own little business now, and I still make cold calls. And you know how difficult. In fact, making a cold call on a business, you know, to sell them a sign is 1,000 times easier than making a cold call on a person's door to try to convert them to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Really, when I look back and I think about it, I'm saying it you know, making cold, yeah.
I can tell you were a successful salesman. You have a way about you. And, you know, I've done my share of sales, but I was not a successful salesman.
Hey, Rick.
But, the point is, witnesses, most of them go to the door. They don't have a clue about what they're doing. They couldn't even study with someone. They don't even know the Bible well enough to teach them. The whole thing's a farce. It's busy work, Rick. You know that.
Oh, yeah.
Keep you busy.
Well, but it's
And
hard.
then they judge you as part of your busy work.
Well, it's hard.
12 hours of busy work.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's very hard, King of Dots. Going to a door, you're an uninvited guest. You knock on the door. You wake people up. They come, and you're bringing them the message. And, you know, you're really trying to convert them. You're there to convert them. And even though we're told we're not converting you, that's what we were there for. We're lying to them, really. Yeah, that's a hard thing. And kids were doing it. Older sisters and older men were doing it. Not everybody can do that. That's hard. And when I think about it, even today, I'm saying, oh my God, that's a tough ball game. Selling in business is 1,000 times easier than doing that. But we all did it. Unbelievable. Did someone else have a thought? Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Zachary?
Who's that? Go ahead. You're on with us.
Yeah, this is Alan from Florida.
Oh, yes, Alan.
I wanted to bring up a point about Philip Bromley. I grew up in the organization from age 5. I disassociated at age 40. I'm 65 now. I remember when I was a teenager leaving high school, and I told my dad I really wanted to go to college, and he says, no way. And I used Philip Bromley as an example because I had friends that were Bethelites, and they told me about Bromley, how the society was paying for his college, for him to go to college to become a lawyer. And I says, wait a second, my contributions are going to the society, and they're sending their own people to college. Why can't I go? They're hypocrites.
Alan, it's so funny you bring that up, and I'm glad you're bringing it up. And he's not the only one they sent to law school. He's not.
But they're so anti-college.
Yeah, they wouldn't let us even, participate in any extra schooling. That was worldly. But yet, did you ever hear the name Albert Schroeder?
Yes.
Well,
His governing body.
Yeah.
His son went to college.
Judah Ben Schroeder was his name.
Yes.
And Judah Ben went to college on our dime. And
You're not the only two.
yeah, that's the only two, Zach?
I said you're not the only two.
No, there's more. Yeah. You've heard that, Zach, right? Yeah.
I'm looking forward to meeting you in August. I made reservations, so I'm all set.
Well, Alan, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to meeting you too. We're gonna have a good time up there, Alan. It's gonna be really good. We got to hit a home run here. We got to really make it really, really good. So, so that people can really enjoy themselves. I know you're coming from Florida. That's a long way away. And, we got to make it so they can say, geez, I like that. So we're working hard to make you happy, Alan.
Okay, take care. Thanks for the show. Have a great night.
Thank you, Alan. Well, there you have it. So, Zach, you still on there with us? Yeah. Well, Zachary brought up that, there's more than...
I'm here. I was
yeah.
muted.
Yeah, so what I'm thinking, Zach, is does that settle well with you that we weren't to get, added education when we left high school? But these what do you think?
No, it does not. It does not settle well with me. I did go to college. I was a full-fledged witness, and I did go. But do I seem like the type of person who would just let people talk without doing my own research to see what is written? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I can tell that you're not just some Joe Smo that fell off a turnip truck, right? Jeez.
Yeah, no, no, I might have, but I'm just saying. I guess I didn't allow myself to just submit to informal statements made by witnesses. So it's a little bit of fight. You keep your mouth quiet. You attend all your meetings. You do all that stuff. I have to say, I did attend a graduation of a Bethelite graduating from law school that this society, sent. And I did attend a graduation of someone that the society sent. But I do think it's horrible to just the damper. It's a real damper that they put on college. In 1992, November, Watchtower, I think it was, they talked about education with a purpose, and they opened the door a little bit in 1992 for people to go to college. But when they say for a purpose, it's for you to be able to earn more money so you can spend less time working and more time in field service, basically is what that was. And they closed that up around 2006, 2007.
Well, you brought something up again here that got me thinking again. And, I've heard before, I can't substantiate it, but I have heard before that the Watchtower organization is jealous of the Mormons. Have you ever heard that, Zach?
I think I've never heard that independently, but I can see why they would be jealous of the Mormons. Because the Mormons, they get their education. They get their education, and they got impressive-looking temples.
And then they got their own university. And see, the Mormons, from what I understand, the Mormons have way more money than the Jehovah's Witnesses. But I can't prove it to you guys tonight, but just go with what I've heard. So they have way more money than the Watchtower. And the reason is, yes.
May I contribute? I want to say hi to Zach, first of all, because I like Zach. I love his voice. Everything about you, Zach, I like.
I think of that.
Thank you. You're a great guy. I went by the Mormon Warren yesterday unwittingly around noon, and it was a huge traffic jam. The whole place was packed out for Good Friday. It was like And I don't know if you know this or not. I put it in the comments. Fox News is reporting that church attendance is up 30 to 60% in North America and all of Europe, while Watchtower is going down. Can anybody explain this phenomenon to me? Watchtower is decreasing, and all the other churches are increasing.
Well, that's a load.
Going on, Rick?
Yeah, that's a loaded. I mean, you just heard that come across Fox News.
Yes, it was reported, I believe, during the 5. You ever watch that? I don't know if you're liberal or in between. I watch all the news because that's what I am. I'm a social studies oriented type person there.
Well, see, that kind of even contradicts what the Pew Research recently unfolded about church attendance. Now, Pew Research is a research.
This is a recent surge, is what they're saying.
Yeah, but there could be a.
I don't know when the Pew Research came out.
Yeah, well, that was just out, in fact, 2 months ago, I believe. But I understand what you're saying, a surge, and I'm wondering what would cause the surge. Is there anything that you can?
That's what they were wondering, and I had to switch channels. They were going to say, what could be responsible for this? And I had to switch channels. I had to go somewhere else. They put on commercials. I put on a commercial, I switched channels. That's automatic.
Well, I can see a surge in religious belief or connecting with God when there's some type of a national problem, like maybe a terrorist attack or maybe maybe the weather. I mean, geez, the weather's been bad. Maybe a lot of people are.
I think because the people are on hard times. People are on hard times. They want to have Easter tomorrow. Some of the churches may even have some sort of a brunch or snack. I think the churches, the bigger ones, are going to be a free social occasion for these young families, 45-year-old parents and such. And the Vatican today, in translation, the sermon said, the millennial kingdom is here. So they're telling people a message that's a little different.
Well, I know J.D.
And they want to have a one world government religion.
I think another thing that you look at with the witnesses compared to churches is the witnesses have the meetings and the parts, even though there's a lot of repetition, they've got always new light and something new. And they're using people. They have to have people to present those parts. So it's total burnout being a witness. If you have to do parts on the meeting and you're doing them regularly, that just burns you out. So I've never been in church, going to church regularly, but how different are their sermons and what's their structure? Is there like a pastor? Is that person full time in that work, or what?
Yes, in most cases. And the music at Notre Dame today was fabulous.
I believe you.
Well, Zachary mentioned something. If I can chime in here, I had an experience with an elder who became a close friend of mine. And he had even been in a pool with the president of Mitsubishi. Anyway, he came from a Louisville congregation. I knew a lot of elders from Louisville. They appoint everybody. You got 15 ministerial servants and 20 elders. And he comes up here. He only gets one part a year. They sign him a book study, of service meeting part every week, a public talk every week, and he told me, I can't take it. This is just too much work for me. Of course, he owned 3 businesses, and he just resigned, out resigned. It's like, but it's not the same everywhere. You go to Cincinnati, you have to pretty much walk on water to be appointed, or kiss somebody's butt. I don't know which is easier, But the guy,
I would say as a rule, it is difficult to be appointed as a rule. You might not have to walk on water, but
you as to fitness, I know. And unfortunately, I think they're testing you as a dishonesty.
Hello,
I'm not
Rick.
going to falsify records for them.
All right, we got another call. Is that you, Kurt? You want to come and say something, Kurt? Thank you, King. Yep.
Yeah, I hate to interrupt anybody. Just my 2 cents in on the Watchtower falling, and they certainly have lost millions of members. I may be wrong about this, but I think the leadership, as you mentioned earlier, doing this consolidation and preparing for Armageddon, I think the leadership's prepared to go to heaven, the anointed leadership when they die, and then these others that are not anointed, they are going to leave in charge of the organization that will go through Armageddon. And they're prepared, I believe, for that. And I think that the leadership, again, another little thing, I don't know this, but I think the general thoughts of the leadership is that the average witness is not what maybe they should or could be, and so they get swept away. But I guess my overall point is the leadership is prepared for a small amount of JWs to go through Armageddon. This, well, I don't know how they would call it, a great crowd of other sheep. Anyway, the resurrection after on the other side of Armageddon, and then they will rule over all these people, all these nations. Anyway, I thought I'd throw that in. The point I would be be making was that I don't believe the leadership is concerned about the dropping numbers, but I may be wrong about that. Thank you, Rick, for listening to me. Go ahead.
Can I comment on some of that? It's interesting that Rick earlier said that when did the organization start to die or something like that? Someone asked that question, and Rick said sometime around 1996. Correct me if I'm wrong, Rick. Around 1996. Interestingly, that's when the governing body, the original, if we can call them original governing body, the ones who were there when they first instituted a governing body and some additions, that's when some of the last of them were kind of falling off or dying. Am I correct? And the first one that was new was Brother Loesch. And so the whole governing body now is not that same one that's been there all those years. They're new, and it would seem that they would not have the same depth of belief that the earlier ones had, because it's kind of like falling apart now with increases in partakers being so much greater than it was in the 80s. It's just falling apart, and I can't see where they would have the same depth of belief that those Henschel, Fred Franz, who's another one, Sidlick. I can't see them as having the same depth of belief in the doctrine that those brothers had, because things are not happening the way they were supposed to happen. The system has gone on too long for the witness doctrine to fit.
Yeah, thank you for that, Zachary. One other quick statement I'd like to make. The fulfillment of the falling away, the great apostasy, the Watchtower applied that many, many decades ago to after the apostles passed away, and you had the great apostasy. It wouldn't surprise me in the near future if they reapply that or give it a secondary application to the apostasy that they believe has taken place in the Watchtower organization. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, Kurt, good to hear from you. And you got me moving in a direction here that kind of ties right in what I wanted to speak about tonight. The Watchtower organization, Jehovah's Witnesses, the governing body, they are aware of the shrinkage. They've got to see it. These are business executives. They've got to see the shrinkage in the Watchtower. And then you say, well, what changes must they make? They see the shrinkage. What changes must they make? So we could speculate. I'm sure there's many people out there tonight that are saying, if the Watchtower just change. And I've often thought of this, even, being out now for going on 20 years, I still think that, geez, the Watchtower, if they just would have made some monumental changes, it would be fun to be a Jehovah's Witness and have the real truth. But, they never seem to want to change. So I'm just thinking, we all have ideas. We all have thoughts on what would they have to do to change, to really get people to really connect with them, and maybe even some that have left before. So, many have left because they just cannot keep up with the Watchtower's changing doctrine, that they can't put up with the shunning of relatives and friends because they don't want to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses. I mean, it's a boring religion. I mean, their talks really are boring. And, if they could just make some changes, and when you really stop and think about it, they'll play all kinds of games, like even a discussion they had, I believe it was last week in one of the meetings, in the clam meeting, on the word privilege. And they spent like 5 minutes just discussing what privilege would be. And we all know the Watchtower's idea of what a privilege is different than ours. I mean, is it a privilege to clean the toilets? Is it a privilege to clean the yard up? So, their meetings are boring, and they don't offer any real momentum of creating positive feelings for people. So, if they would change a few things, I would say that, if they just stop shunning people, they could start really believing in the true meaning of Jesus and stop all his foolishness. Everyone should be able to partake. Well, what would you think? I'm just curious. What would you like to see the Watchtower change? Because if they really don't, they're not going to make it. In fact, I know they never will. So I'm saying right now they're dead on arrival. They're in intensive care right now. But what would you like? Yes.
This is Carol again.
Yes, Carol.
Listen, there isn't a darn thing that they could change that would make me go back. The whole thing is a joke anyways. After learning all that we all have learned, there's no way. There's no way. I mean, what could they change? What? The dress code? Big deal. The memorial? Big deal. They're still liars. And I have a very bad taste in my mouth. There isn't a thing that they could do to make me go back.
Well, thank you for saying that. I share the same thing. It would be like really being married to a wicked person, right? Whether it be a man or a woman that you were married to, depending on what sex you were. But if the person was really wicked, I mean, just made life so miserable, you would say there's nothing they could do to change my thoughts. It's the same thing with the Watchtower. What do you guys think? Who's next? Yeah, hold on 1 second. Let's go. I think Susan was first. Is that you, Susan?
It is. If I were to rebrand, I'd never go back to Jehovah's Witnesses ever. But if I were trying to be smart about it and keeping my money streams alive, what are Jehovah's Witnesses known for? Bible studies, knocking on the door, right? They still have it in sitcoms about Jehovah's Witnesses knocking at the door. So what I do is I rebrand their Bible studies, and like have the 50 most asked Bible questions and say we have the answers or whatever. But that's what I try to do, is try to capitalize on what they have promoted all these years.
Well, there you go, Susan. Yep. All right, that's good. That's very good. Let's go
Hi,
with
Rick.
who's this? Is this Nadine?
It is.
Yeah.
It's Nadine.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, I have an idea.
Yeah.
Okay, they want to rebrand and they want to have people attend. They should go back to their original teachings, where they believed in Jesus and they celebrated Christmas and they believed in the cross. Just go back to the original teachings.
It teaches the truth to some degree. Then they get too culty. Oh, okay. I'll take that.
Okay.
I'll take that.
Yeah, they could say, you know what, we made a big mistake. We made a big mistake with Rutherford, and we're going to go back to our original teachings with the man that, started it all.
All right, I'll take that. I'll take that. That's all right. Yeah, at least they were somewhat sensible years ago. And thank you, Nadine.
Right.
Let's go to let's go to Chicago. What do you think, Chicago? What would they do to change it?
Okay, so I'm going to come at this from a completely different standpoint. Watchtower, and I know that you're listening, they'll continue to make little small changes, what I call the low-hanging fruit. Like, you can wear pants, you can grow a beard, all this nonsense. So probably do holidays next if the numbers continue to decline. But what Watchtower is terrified of, because that's exactly what will kill this organization, is when they start making more changes, it's just going to become more and more apparent that they never got Bible understanding. Everything that they taught was wrong. There was no reason why people had to go through all the hell that they went through, the brothers and sisters that suffered in Malawi, the ones that are in prison even right now in countries like Russia. That those individuals never needed to go through that crap in the first place. They never got the Bible right. They have predicted Armageddon and other things that have never happened. So the more they start changing their teachings, more and more people are going to leave. So they're not really going to make these changes. This is what they're terrified of. This is why they lock Union halls after meetings begin and all the rest of this. So that's never going to happen. Any changes that they make, people are just going to interpret as this organization doesn't know what it's doing. They don't have it right now. They certainly didn't have it right in the past. And all that's going to turn into is it just become more and more like any other mainstream Christian religion. And people are going to say, you're no different than anybody else. Who needs this? And they're going to walk away. So in my opinion, there's really no hope. What Watchtower is trying to do right now is let the old ones who really know how bad they've lied and manipulated and have been a false prophet, let those ones die off. The problem is they're not getting and retaining the young ones. So no matter how you look at it, this organization is dead in the water.
Well, I'm with you. In fact, I'll tell you what, I bet you 100% of the people that are listening into this program tonight, I bet you they agree with you, Stephan. I don't think there's one person listening to this program tonight that would go back to the Watchtower if they changed anything. I think we all had enough. We all had enough.
Hey, Rick, I have one more thing.
Yeah.
I actually feel the beginning of the end for Watchtower was in 1973 when they started the elder arrangement. Before that, they had the what did they have? The unit servant or something like that, whatever it was called. And it was almost
congregation
like
servant.
Yeah, or something like that. Is that you, Zachary, again?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's when they decided to, kick people out for smoking. What did they give them? 6 months? And then the shit started hitting the fan. They started losing people. Half the congregation left, not just because of that, because they were doing this whole judicial committee stuff, and they were experimenting with the whole thing the whole time. And they were using people who had no experience, who shouldn't have been appointed servants. I knew servants when I came in 76. They'd only studied one booklet, like, Is There a God Who Cares? Then they got baptized. Now they're an elder a year later. It was just a total catastrophe what they did. But no, they doubled down on it, They kept, we'll send you 2 days of training at the circuit assembly or something for the elders. They did it to themselves. I don't think the Bible actually supports the judicial committee system. I think the congregation, as it actually says, makes a decision. And they say, well, the three elders are the congregation. No, they're not. And I'm not going to, I got sick of it. I have to carry on a grudge for a family in a congregation whose son-in-law committed adultery, so I can't talk to him. And so we have a congregational grudge. Jesus said, forgive free, like Jesus forgives you. Well, that's not free. You're going to hold it over their head for a year or two or more? I mean, they whack themselves out. And until they get rid of this stupid... Look, I was Catholic. You go to the priest. He doesn't know who the hell you are. You're behind the screen. You say, forgive me, Father, my last confession was 3 weeks ago. And then you tell him your sins. And he says, well, say 2 Hail Marys and 4 Our Fathers. And if heaven forbid, he says, say the whole rosary. It's like, well, I make sure I don't go back when he's in that confessional thing. Because generally you know who the priest is, but he don't know you. But now you got 3 elders who know you. And guess what? When you drive by on Monday night, everybody in the hall knows who's going to a judicial committee. You see 4 cars. You see the 3 elders' cars, and you see the other person's car. We all know whose cars they are. It's the most unbelievably secretive thing that you could possibly have. And you know I'm right. The whole thing a farce. It's a total F storm, and they started it. They did it to themselves, and people are fed up with it. Ta-da!
Yeah. Well, I never thought of that. I never thought of that the person, you see the elders' cars, and the other person, that's the person in the judicial meeting. I never thought of that. You brought up a lot of good thoughts tonight, King of Dots. Boy, you're really humming. Really humming. Thank you. All right.
Hey, Rick, can I take a punch at it?
Go ahead.
I'm
Yep.
going to listen in. I'm going to pause it, mute and listen in.
Hi, Rick. This is JP again.
Yeah.
I would, I'm just going to make a prediction, but I would say that probably with the order of how they're doing things and the way the organization has any chances of surviving, they're going to have to taper down a lot of their most fundamental beliefs and redo them, which one of them, I think the first one they'll do with the memorial attendance going up and is the 144,000. They're going to have to say that it's a symbolic number, not literal, because like I've explained to you before, doing my research, if you get the you can find this all out in the Proclaimer's book, but if you get the amount of people that were partaking during Russell's time, which they all thought they were anointed, and witnesses still consider the Bible students that they were anointed and that Russell was being used by Jehovah God, to give their message. So you have to count all those people. And then there's a later generation about the time of Nathan Noor in the 1950s, which a lot of those people alive then in the late 1800s probably weren't around then, because you have to figure if they were old enough to be anointed, they'd have to at least be in their mid-20s or older. So likely none of those people were around. And then you have a generation of the 1990s and then now. But I've done the numbers and the research, even with the statistics and the amount of time that people live, just using the Proclaimer's book, and it easily proves that almost 500,000 witnesses have been or claimed to be anointed at some point since the since the late 1870s when Russell was around. So the numbers don't add up at all, and that's not even counting the 2,000 years from when Christ was around to when C.T. Russell showed up, mysteriously in the 1870s to take over, what the apostles wanted to do and what Christ wanted to do, which is ridiculous. And the second thing I would say that they're going to have to leave or ditch is the 1914 generation, because everybody knows that it's not a factual year in that. So those are the two things. It's too easy for people to research stuff. And I think they're just going to easily roll things around like how they do and say, well, we had a clear understanding of the 144,000. And they'll work 1914 into that, later over. This is going to be over the series of years, but I don't think they can last that much longer. And they're at a point now where there's so many witnesses leaving. They're going to have to kind of get to a point where they have to rip off the Band-Aid and probably take some losses. But I think what they're doing is waiting for the older Jehovah's Witnesses to die, that were, and myself included too. Like I'm 40 something, but I do remember when even myself as a youngster, in the 90s, and that where we did believe in the generation that was still alive in 1914. It was even in the head cover of the Awake magazine when I was alive. So we're preaching that back then, and that is nothing what they believe nowadays. So they're going to have to rework that. And I don't know. We're going to have to see how things go, but I don't think that they could continue, for another 20, 25 years. I mean, we're already 15 years into their overlapping generation, which I was at a circuit assembly when they first introduced that idea. And at that time, it seemed like something that was, quite unbelievable, but I had faith and was like, well, Jehovah's going to do, he's going to, sometimes Jehovah reveals things when he needs to, and it'll make sense later. I kind of put it in the back of my mind, but no, it's too far advanced, Rick, to where it just can't keep going. They've set themselves on a shelf life, and even with the overlapping generation, they're on a shelf life, and they're 15 years into the overlapping generation thing. So I think unless they could absolutely ditch all those numbers and that they're just simply not going to be able to exist, at least on the merits that they claim that they were appointed by God in 1919 based off of 1914. Sorry for the long rant.
Oh, that's okay. No, okay. It's interesting you bring that up, JP. Well, thank you. Well, time for one more caller. Yes, that's you, Joe. Go ahead.
Hi, can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yep.
Okay, thank you. Honestly, I can't let go of the nagging memory, and in fact, the original journal for that organization was called Zion's Watchtower. Zion. Now, originally they weren't even a religion. They became a religion, I believe, when they realized that would be a very functional way to draw people and make lots of money for their Zion agenda. I don't think they let go of that Zion agenda. I just don't think they advertised the Zion agenda. I think that's buried in the phony religious agenda that they buffaloed people about. They had to see, they're a creative organization. They're a publishing corporation, so they've got a lot of creative people. So they tasked them to come up with a creative religion. They did that, a unique creative religion. Well, it worked. And in the process, the people that came in, because they were attracted to all these greedy desires, like living forever, doing everything they wanted in the paradise, seeing dead loved ones again, returning to the youth, everything that's every unrealistic desire in the world. It worked. It worked. They appealed to their greed. It worked. They fooled everybody. And at the same time, they used the people, us, as slaves to build their kingdom halls, to build their corporation, their real estate corporation, which became massively successful. They have a massively successful real estate corporation, real estate business. They don't need the people anymore. The people are liabilities to them. They're hangers on. It's like, why don't you all just go home? But they don't know how to do that. They don't know how to go to that next step in their business model of being a political agenda supporter. The only thing I can think of is that somehow they may want to sweet talk people into becoming politically active in the Zionist agenda. It's the only thing I can think of. But as far as the religion goes, they're a joke. They're an absolute joke, and they know it. And everyone knows it. They're just hanging on. And they're just listening to them and watching the show. But I still think, in all honesty, they are very tightly woven into the Zionist agenda. And I truly think most of their money goes to support that. And they've used people as slaves to build a business to fund that agenda. What they do the next step, it doesn't even matter. I think what matters most is what the people in it are going to do in order to leave gracefully without losing too much. And I truly feel for the people trapped in it. That's it. Thank you.
Well, Joe, I'll tell you, that makes a lot of sense to me. And really, I like how you said, they're real estate now. They're making the money in the stock market. These people are a liability. They more or less are saying, just go home. Just go home. Let's bring in,
I see one more thing that nobody wants to look at. The phones ruined the Bible knowledge of the entire society, as we used to call it. They're teaching literacy, which is great.
I didn't hear what
the
you
rank
said.
and file are people that want to be led. They are told not to vote. They don't vote. That swings things in a different direction, as Joe was noting. They're told not to get educations, so they have jobs where they don't make as much per hour, which is just plain sad. And they can take this model of phones, videos, and follow the leader, and they can go with it for the next decade, the next century, because there's going to be a lot of people on basic income, going to be a lot of unemployed people, going to be a lot of people out of work, and that would be the group that would be going there. But does it seem Christian to me now? No. Does it seem like they're studying the Bible? No. Does it seem like the people were happy there? Yeah. Were they in a fashion show? Yeah. Did they get social engagement with each other to hug and chat? Yeah. But it's not Bible. So that's my 2 cents.
Well, we'll take it, Pixie. We'll take it. No, in fact, I'll tell you, here's some interesting things here tonight. A lot, in fact, but I don't believe there's any one of us. We got like 233 people listening in now live, and I want to thank you all for coming in. But I have to tell you, I don't think there's any one of us on here tonight that would go back to the Watchtower if they changed something. I think we've all had enough. Okay, who else would like to make a comment? All right. Oh, yes.
Yeah, just a little something on what King of Dots was saying about driving by the Kingdom Hall, because I used to live right next to the Kingdom Hall, and I always knew when I saw 3 elders' cars in another car, and it was a Wednesday night or Sunday after the meeting, I always knew who was in the judicial meeting. And another thing, on top of that, the wives know. The wives absolutely know. They know all the details. In most cases, this is true. They know all the details of what happened in the judicial committee, who's getting disfellowshipped or whatever. Because I remember when I was disfellowshipped, I was sitting at the back of the Kingdom Hall, and 3 of the elders' wives, who was sitting kind of near the front, turned around and they wanted to see my facial expression. Every single one of those elders' wives knew that they were going to announce that night that I was disfellowshipped. So there's no privacy. There's no confidentiality. There's none of that. The witnesses believe that that's the case, but it's not. And what the witnesses want you to do is they want you to spy on your brothers and sisters and go to the elders. Oh, brother so-and-so went to an R-rated movie, or brother so-and-so or sister so-and-so had too many drinks at a wedding or something like that. They want you to spy. And that's part of this. There's many reasons why this corrupt organization is going down. That's one of them. And really bless Six Screens for letting the people know that this is what's going on. Thank you, Rick.
In fact, Dick, you and Connie will be coming on tonight?
Yeah, not Connie, just myself. Connie's under the weather, so we won't be on the video, but you'll have me on the telephone call.
Oh, good. Okay, Dick. In fact, that's good. Well, thank you. We wish Connie the best. So, yeah, about that, say 10, 15 minutes, we'll go to your program. So you hang in there. Thank you, Dick, for being patient. Okay. Maybe we should get into the duck game and get that played. Well, we had a lot of people coming in tonight, so we really thank you all. Now, we do have a game we play here. It's kind of like a Watchtower trivia, kind of like a secret word that nobody really brought up tonight. So, in fact, I have to say that King of Dots did bring a word up tonight that is in the contest. King of Dots did do that, and it has to do with the governing body. No, it's not. It has to do with the elders. So there's that came up. So if King of Dots wants to take 5 points, we'll give it to him. He did bring it up. So King of Dots, you won 5 points. Keep it on the honor system. Okay. All right. So anyways, we got some trivia question to ask. You can win some books. We get some people very close to winning $100. We're going to ask some questions. And then what we'll do is you're going to hear the Jeopardy music play. And when the music stops, you answer. But now just throw a number out. Some of you guys have numbers. If you don't have a number that you've been using, just pick any number at random from 1 to 100. When the music stops, what I want you to do is throw that number out. And then I'll know, like number 11, okay, you said it first. So let's try to keep that in order tonight, so it'll be no problem. So anyways, while we are discussing what King of Dots brought up, if you're listening tonight, you would have the answer to what one of the questions is. So let's ask the question right now, but don't answer until the music stops, okay? So here we go. What year did the Jehovah's Witness elder arrangement start? Don't answer to the mute. When the music stops is when you can answer.
Number 872.
I heard number 9. Was there number 9 out there?
Yeah, it was me, Thomas Martin.
All right, Thomas. What year? Hold on 1 second. Let me get this pumped up here. What year did the elder arrangement start?
As I recall, it was in 1972.
Well,
does 73. Number 8, 15.
I got to go with Nadine. Nadine, you.
Hi. 71.
Yep.
In 1971, I'm going to read it to you. In 1971, another significant change came with the introduction of the body of elders. The body was to rotate individual responsibilities annually with what the Watchtower 1971 page suggested about early Christians. First of all, there really wasn't any governing body. Well, there was elders, I guess, so I'll go along with that. So, Nadine, take yourself a point. How many points you got?
That's 12. I have 12 now.
Well, you won $100. Thank you for playing the game. There you go. My goodness. There you go. So, okay, so I got...
Yay, I'm so excited.
Boy, I'll tell you, boy, you are quite the winner. You are the champion here. You are the champion. So you won $100, Nadine. That's good for you. Boy,
I'm so happy. It really made my night.
Did it make your night? Well, I'm glad it did. I'm glad it did, Nadine. We're good to have you. We're always glad to have you come on here and be part of it. Well,
I'm glad I got it on the first question.
you did see that. Okay, so now we go back. Everyone, we clear the slate. Now we go back to one. So I do have you. I still have all your information. A check will be in the mail for you. Okay, Nadine.
Okay, thank you, Rick.
You're very welcome. I'm glad to see her in the winter. She's a nice lady. Yes. Okay, so here we got another question, but I don't want you to answer till the music starts. I want you all to go in the honor system, and then you can win. You can win the prize. You can win $100. You can win some books. You get 5 points. You win a book. As a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to give 5 points for this next question. 5 points for this next question if you can answer it. But don't answer till the music stops. Here we go. Why do Jehovah's Witnesses call their church Kingdom Hall? Why do Jehovah's Witnesses call their church Kingdom Hall?
Seven.
I just have to go with the clearest one I can, and I have to go with Stefan, even though he wasn't first, but he was the clearest. The only number I could hear was 7. So go ahead, Stefan.
So I'm going to take a stab at it. So the Watchtower used to say announcing God's kingdom, and then of course they wanted to be different from the other churches. So maybe that's why they call it Kingdom Hall, but I'm not sure.
Well, it's very close. It's very close. 15. Go ahead, Zach.
I would agree with Stephen because it's where they teach and learn about God's kingdom.
All right. Does anyone want to take another stab at it? Let me just, I'll give you a little clue. What does the word church mean?
The people.
All right, let's go with Nadine again, number 10.
Okay. The Kingdom Hall. The hall is what they did with the Freemasons. The Masons called it the hall. So that was the part of the hall. And then they do preach the kingdom of God. And so that's why they call it the Kingdom Hall.
Well, it's good thought. I'm gonna give you the official answer here at the 6 screens.
I want to talk about church. I thought you asked about church too.
Okay, go ahead, Zach.
Yeah. Okay. The church is, they believe that the church is this is going to sound crazy, but the bride of Christ. And in fact, I think in the marriage of the Lamb, in that song, they refer to them as the church.
Do they? I'm not sure. I mean, if you say it, I believe it.
It's in the 1966 songbook.
Yeah. Well, let me read you my official answer here. The word church, often translated in the Bible, refers to a congregation of people and not a structure. Well, we all know that. So Jehovah's Witnesses prefer calling their place for worship and Bible study kingdom halls. A kingdom hall is a house of worship used by Jehovah's Witnesses for their religious services. The Jehovah's Witness organization, as we know, they don't call their congregation the church. That is the true definition, because they're not all in the church. I mean, a great crowd members aren't in the church. They're not even, because they're not part of the new covenant. So that's basically the answer. All right, so that's okay. Let's move on here now. I'm going to go here. We got something here, which is a new subject we're bringing up here. It's Watchtower myths. Now, we all heard these urban legends or urban myths, they would call it, right? So I'm going to give you a multiple choice, but don't answer until the music stops. We have a multiple choice. Now, you tell me. Now, these were myths that we all heard while we were in the Watchtower. these urban myths. People would spread them around. They had no real truth, but a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses believed them. And sometimes you even heard them from the stage. So here is an urban myth that maybe some of you have heard. A burglar who broke into a Jehovah's Witness home only to have the owner come home. He hid under the bed and so heard the owner. She read the Bible out loud. He escaped, taking her Bible with him, and he eventually, now I'm going to give you a multiple choice. So you got the picture. A burglar broke into a witness home. He hid under the bed of the woman who owned the home. She was reading the Bible. He heard her. When she fell asleep, he grabbed the Bible and he left the house. He eventually, he lands up marrying the sister, and they both decide to go into the full-time work. B, he starts a study and gets baptized. C, his conscience moved him to return the Bible to the local Kingdom Hall, and much to his surprise, reunited with his identical twin fleshly brother that he hasn't seen in 26 years. So like these are urban these are urban. Yeah. So anyways, don't answer until the music stops. All right.
One.
I'll go with one first. Let's go with one first. So you.
Okay. I don't know the answer to this, but I'm going to do what they say to do on a multiple choice question, the longest one. C.
Well, that's the first time I ever heard you take a stab at it like that. So C was his conscience moved him to return the Bible to the local Kingdom Hall, and much to his surprise, reunited with his identical twin fleshly brother that he hasn't seen in 26 years. Zach, nope, that's not the answer. So,
okay.
But this was actually an actual urban myth that was passed around in the Watchtower. Stefan, you want to take a shot? Yes, Stefan. Yes.
I wanted to tell a true story. This is something that actually happened. Same exact scenario. There was a kid. He was sick, so he stayed home for the Sunday meeting upstairs in his bed. And a group of guys broke in his parents' house while he was there. And so what he did is he got underneath the bed. And I'm sure he had literature out. I don't believe anybody read the literature or took it and felt any need to return it. They basically robbed him blind while he stayed under the bed. So that's an actual story. Take it for what it's worth.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because I mean we heard these crazy urban myths. So what about the burglar? What did he do? Someone want to take a shot? That we had A. He lands up marrying the sister, and they both decide to go into the full-time work. B. He starts a study and gets baptized. What do you think, Dallas?
B.
You're right.
I'm gonna go with.
Well, he did. You're at B. Dallas, you must be an expert on urban myths, because you hit it. You hit it right on the nose. Give yourself a point, okay? Thank you, Dallas. Well, let's stay on urban myths for a little bit. You guys seem to appreciate that. Let's give another urban myth. An urban myth, multiple choice. A sister moves into a house, and all this crazy demonic stuff starts happening. She gets the elders. She gets the elders over to help her figure out what the cause is, and they go through all her stuff, and they find nothing compromising. Then they find something etched into one of the wooden floorboards in some corner, and there's a little tiny image. Okay, what image? Is it A, Buddha? Is it B, a unicorn? Is it C, Smurf? So let's go. Don't answer. Don't answer until the music stops. These are actual urban myths. I know they sound crazy. Okay.
Eight.
I heard eight. I heard eight, nice and clear. What is it, brother?
I say Smurf.
Now, who said that? Who was number eight? Who was that? Yeah. All right. No, it's not Smurf. It's not Smurf. So was it a
Because there was a story of a walking Smurf in a Kingdom Hall.
Right, but that's another urban myth. Let's not get our urban myths mixed up, you know.
There are many Smurf myths.
Yeah. All right. So, well, I'll give it to you. It was Buddha. There was a Buddha etched in the floorboard. I mean, I've got more of these. We'll do more. We'll bring them up every time we have our Watchtower Duck game. But anyways, here's two more, and then we're gonna move on to Dick. Not urban myths, but just questions. And anyways, the questions would be, if you guys were listening in last week when we had Derek Barefoot was on, he wrote the book Jehovah's Witnesses in the Hour of Darkness. He talked all about subliminal images. Can someone tell me now, on page, I believe it was 95 of the Revelation book, there was an angel that was handing the scroll to John, the apostle. I'm sorry, it was Paul, not John. No, it was John. It was John. So he was handing the scrolls to John. What image, what picture was in the angel's hand, and what God was it? It was a God. It was an image of a God, but what God was it? Tell me when the music stops. Okay.
One.
Go ahead, one.
I don't know, but I think I heard it said the face of Pan.
Yes, it was Pan. Yep.
Okay.
It was Pan.
Rick, can I comment on that from last week? That Derek Barefoot.
Okay, guys, so we have to keep our hands over the phone when someone else is talking. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. All right. I remember the day I first saw those pictures, actually in the magazine, when the talk was going around. While that brother was talking, I remember the sister who showed it to me. We may have been in field service or at the Kingdom Hall. And the first thing that she showed me, I said, "What's all this stuff about pictures they're talking about?" And she said, "Look at the sister's dress." And there were two, like he said, two sisters on the street. And that's how I remembered it. And I looked at her dress, and there was an actual face down in the corner of her dress. And then the sister, she said, she turned to another page, and it was one of the apostles. And you know how they wear the long robes and stuff. And she said, she flicked her finger over the page and said, "Look at this. You see that? Taurus the bull." And sure enough,
Is that right? That's nuts.
I saw it. You know, I don't exaggerate. I saw the face and I saw the bull. And then he said, Derek Barefoot, he said that he talked about how the society handled it, what they said about it. And I remember that article. I think it may have been a Watchtower study article. And what they did was they talked about rumors, like he said, rumors. And they said something about some company that had a logo that people were saying was demonic. I think it was Procter & Gamble. And then they said that this kind of rumors, spreading rumors, when they did that to the Watchtower, they cast some long-time, hard-working witnesses. They cast them in bad light.
Muted.
He was right. All that, I remember all that stuff happening exactly the way he said.
Well, you're absolutely right.
That Watchtower that he mentioned, the face in the sister's dress, and also the bull in, I don't know if he mentioned the bull, but it was going on at that time. There was a bull in the what looked like a bull in Paul's or somebody's robe.
Well, we had him on last week. And I do believe he's coming to the convention too. So we're gonna get into that. Well, friends, we're gonna end the program here. We got Dick Borgie on deck. I want to thank everyone for coming in here tonight. Now, remember what I want you to do. When you can help me out a lot, especially during this game. Someone want to say something?
What happened to Rick? I'll get it checked.
Hold on. I think I'm still here. Okay, I must have shut myself off.
Unmuted.
Okay, I see what happened, Susan. I see what happened. I'm back on. Yep. Okay, I muted myself by mistake. Yeah. What I want to say to you is because there's so much noise on the phone when we play the game, you got to really keep down background noise and shuffling papers and what have you, because it makes it very, very confusing. So please do that when we do play the game. And the way it really works on these conference calls, we have people dialing in. If when you want to speak up, you hit *6, and then when you don't want to speak, you hit *6, it mutes you. But when we play the game, everyone wants to be open. So bear in mind that any noise you make in the background is going to show up. So keep your hand over the receiver. That would help a lot here in making things a lot clearer. Well, I want to thank everyone for coming in to JW World News tonight. And boy, we had fun here tonight. And I want to appreciate and let those people know who called in that we really thank you for doing that. That really makes a difference. And we had a lot of people calling in tonight. So we want to thank everyone. As we say, we will not have a 6-screen Sunday tomorrow. We'll be back in 2 weeks with 6-screen Sunday. But Dick Borgie's coming up next with his program. So stay tuned for Dick. I know you'll find him very fascinating and interesting. He's got a lot to talk about tonight. So you guys all be good. Keep standing tall. Keep waving that flag of victory. And the last one, leaving the Watchtower, please turn off the new light. Stay tuned for Dick Borgie coming up next right here on the 6 Screens Telenetwork. So let's end this here, which we are right now. JW.